welcome to another episode of Asexualized, my asexual life. This is a place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual, and I share my asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit the great big subscribe button below right here, right now. Please hit that bell icon to get notified of every time I go live like now and post a new video. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up as we go along if you're enjoying the content, if you find it useful, helpful, insightful in any way, shape or form, or you just want to give this channel some love. Every like is really appreciated from the bottom of my heart. And if you didn't know who I am Sandra Bellamy, author of this beautiful book, Asexual Perspectives, 47 Asexual Stories, Love, Life and Sex, a celebration of asexual diversity. And that is 47 real life asexual stories. I'm also the author of the Fibromyalgia Self-Help Handbook, which is how to manage fibromyalgia to have less pain, more energy, and feel happier like a superhero rock star. And it's a great book if you suffer with depression and anxiety, because I overcame depression in 2012, and I tell you how to do it in this book. And I also have anxiety, and it shows you ways that you can lower your anxiety, reduce it, so it's easily manageable and doesn't take over your life anymore, and you can lead a much more fulfilling, happy, vibrant and energetic life. So even if you haven't got fibromyalgia, it is a really good autobiographical book that will give you lots of hints and tips on how to live your best life ever. So hi Sam, it's nice to see you. I've missed you on the stream recently, so it's lovely to have you back. That's so good. Yes, I got a really good episode today. How to self-love in 12 ways. We're loving people today. We're loving ourselves. Woo! I'm having a really good time on today's stream. I've made some notes today. See? Notes. So don't forget the 12 ways. I can actually go on and on. I thought I should be writing a book about how to self-love more, because literally I started writing and I'm like, hang on a minute, I can't really stop writing. I've got to stop at 12, otherwise we'll be here forever and ever, because my live streams obviously take quite a while as it is. But maybe one day I'll write a book on how to self-love more, because it's one topic that I'm very passionate about. Because years ago I didn't like my life, I didn't really like myself very much, and I was depressed for quite a number of years. And it wasn't until 2012 when I started getting into personal and professional development that really changed my life. And I started my self-love, self-worth journey when I realized I got a lot of skills and experience to offer the world, which previously I never saw. So self-love is something I'm very passionate about. I'm very passionate about helping people to self-love more, because it's really essential to actually thriving in life and not just surviving and ticking along, which is what we don't want to be. We don't want to be in this survival mode where we're just literally in life and we're not really experiencing it, because we're just like, the clock's ticking and we don't really like ourselves that much and we're not feeling good. You know, I don't want that, because I had that for years, right? It's not a good state to be in. So if you want to know how to self-love more, then this episode is definitely for you. So number one, because we're going to go into 12 ways, so buckle up, because this is going to be a bit of a long stream as usual. So number one, self-date. Now, you might have heard me talk about self-dating before, and I find this is one of the most top ways to help yourself to self-love more, right? Is self-dating. Now, if you didn't know what self-dating is, as opposed to just hanging out with yourself now and again when you're like, you know, like you're in town, for example, and you need to grab a sandwich, that's not self-dating, right? That's just taking care of your body because you're hungry, right? Self-dating is intentional. So self-dating is where you set a time, a place, a date and day to have a date with yourself, to be with yourself. You know, it's intentional. You set it on your calendar, or you put it in your diary at a certain time. You will be there, and you don't let yourself down unless you're seriously sick, you know, and I mean seriously sick. Do you know what I'm saying? So for example, on Saturday, was it Saturday or Sunday? Saturday last weekend, I watched Farmageddon because I did a video review, right? A film review, sorry. I did a film review because I went out to the cinema to watch it at Kids Club, right? Most people don't even realise that Kids Club in the UK, I don't know if it's like that where you live, it's only £2.49 or £2.50, depending on where you go, View Cinema or Odeon Cinema. So say £2.50, right? So you can see a film that's been on the big screen for really cheap money. So if you're on a budget, you haven't got much money, get the money aside for £2.50. I'm sure you can do that. It doesn't matter if there's kids in the cinema with you, right? It doesn't matter. I laugh louder than all the kids. I laugh more than the kids and the parents put together. I'm the one laughing the loudest in the whole of the cinema usually. And I don't care, because this is part of self-love as well. It's not caring what people think, which isn't one of my 12. But actually, it's related to one of my 12, I think. Which one have I? Oh, yes. Yes, it is. It's related to number 6. So, yeah, don't care what people think, basically, is really important. So just be yourself, but yeah, take yourself out on self dates. So it doesn't have to be really expensive. Maybe you want to have a picnic with yourself, right? So you buy the food and you specifically take yourself to a park and you go and have that picnic at a certain time, day and date. So again, it's very, very much a calculated, planned event. It's not something you just show up on when you need to eat. It's something that you plan. You know, if you're taking yourself out for a meal, what time are you going to do that? You know, are you going to dress up for yourself, or are you just going to go in casual gear, right? Because sometimes dressing up for yourself on your self date is a really good thing. You know, put some extra nice clothes on. You know, like if you're going out to see a friend, and you might make a bit more of an effort to put more nicer clothes on or something. You know, go and wear the type of clothes you'd wear if you were seeing a friend, for example. But put them on yourself because you're wearing it for yourself, because you know, it helps to increase confidence and self-esteem. And, you know, just going on a self date helps to increase your confidence and self-esteem, but so does wearing, you know, clothing to like impress yourself, as it were, you know, because, you know, you want to make a good big deal out of being with yourself, because you're going on a date, right? So it's pretend you were going on a date with your ideal partner or whatever, and things you might do, you know, you make sure you're on time. You should make sure you're on time, you know, and that you are, you know, you might want to look extra pretty or extra handsome, or might just want to put a bit more clubby gear on, or a bit more street dance gear on, or a bit more hiking gear if you're taking yourself out hiking, wherever you're going, you know what I mean? You might want to just dress up a bit more, or you might just like love being in casual clothes, right? So wherever you feel comfortable and happy in, right? But this is a date with yourself. This is important. So this is where you reconnect with your soul and being, right? So this is the purpose of the date, to spend quality time with you out of your home environment, so that you are literally being intentional about you're spending time with just you. So when I go, hi Richard, lovely to see you. When I go out to the cinema self-dating, I'm literally spending quite a lot of time with myself. I'm switching my phone off, right? For those 2 hours, usually I'm offline. I'm disconnected. I'm just watching the movie, right? And it's for me, right? And if I don't have that cinema time, if I don't have the self-date, usually for me, self-dating is going to the cinema, to be honest with you. That's what mostly it is. But if I don't have that time with myself, then, you know, it's not good. I can feel my soul not being as complete with me. I mean, even going out clubbing is something I do for myself. It's like a self-date, even, you know, because I'm dancing myself. I don't know if I'm going to meet any guys I like or not, right? That's a secondary thing if there's a nice looking guy there. Not my first thing. I'm going there to dance because it's good for my body, to increase my confidence skills, to increase my self-esteem skills, to feel good. You know, because I do love dancing. I used to take dance classes, and like, you know, it's very important that I do dancing. It makes me energized, invigorated, come alive, feel it at one with my soul, feel happy, you know, and joyful, you know, and it's good for me to practice different dance moves. It's very, very good. You know, I don't like going out to the gym or sport and stuff like that. I mean, I used to go to the gym, to be fair to me, but you know, I don't, you know, I'm not a sporty person, but dancing is very healthy for me. So I like that. So that's like a self date, but not, you know, because I'm going there specifically for me. So it's like time with myself that I promise myself. So once my clubbing is on the calendar, that's it. I can't deviate. I can't say, oh, well, I'm tired today, or I'm not feeling too well today. Most of the time, unless I'm really, really sick, right? Obviously, when I had the respiratory infection, that's when I was really sick. I can't go clubbing then, right? And I even thought about going a bit too soon back clubbing because I really want to, but my chest, you know, wasn't great still. And obviously, if you're having problems with breathing, you can't go to clubbing. So there are certain limits. Do you know what I mean? You don't want to make yourself ill. But I mean, if you've just got a little sniffle or something, do you know what I mean? Then, or just a little bit of a sore throat, but nothing's really come to fruition, you're not streaming your eyes out with flu or anything, then you can go, right? That's what I'm saying. I mean, you know, like sometimes, like there's occasion when I've gone clubbing, and you know, like in last year there was a time when I actually felt really, really tired. And I'm like, no, you're going clubbing. I've told you you're going clubbing. That's the end of the story. You're going clubbing, right? I was actually feeling not too well, but I felt better after going clubbing. So you know, but do what's right for you. You know, at the end of the day, you've got to do what makes you happy and what's right for you. But the whole point I'm trying to make is don't let yourself down. You know, make deadlines, times, and dates with yourself to do things and stick to it, because that breeds trust with yourself. You know, you need to breed trust with yourself. You know, it's very, very important. The more you trust yourself, the more you'll allow yourself to make decisions in your life, the more confident you'll become and raise your self-esteem. So this is why it's very, very important to do this stuff, to stick to dates with yourself. This is why it's so important. Do you know what I mean? You should treat it as seriously as you would meeting someone else, right? And hopefully you wouldn't let the other person down usually. Do you know what I mean? So you have to be serious about it. It's not something like I've stuck on my calendar, but today I can't be bothered. No, it's like the cinema where I live is the opposite end of the city to where I live. I have to physically walk there 20 minutes usually at least. That's fast walking. Really, it's about 35. It's about 30 minutes away from me probably. I can get there in about 20. Usually 25 probably. It's at the other end of the city. So do you know what I mean? I'm literally rushing up there sometimes. Like I think it's about 25 minutes it took me, because I left. No, I did it in 20. That's why I did it in 20 last time. But I had to run a little bit, you know. So you know, it's you know, it's not like it's on my doorstep. I have to physically go out of my way to do it. And by doing things and go out of your way to do things for yourself, you're making yourself a very important person in your life, which is part of self-love. You know, you've got to make sure you're a very important person in your life, you know, because far too many people, they're busy looking after others and they don't look after themselves, and they don't put themselves as a priority or put themselves as an important person. You are just as important as anyone else, and if you are not looking after yourself, you can't look after other people, right? So that is number one, is self-dating. Number two is praising yourself more, right? So you need to praise yourself. So today, I caught myself being critical. And number three is stop criticizing yourself as much. So 2 and 3 go together. What, you know, 2 is praise yourself more, 3 is be less self-critical, and they kind of go hand in hand. So I caught myself criticizing myself today. So it's good if you can be consciously aware of your criticism, right, and change that into more praise, positive stuff. So so today I criticize myself because I have been slow. I've been doing video editing, but the problem is that one of the videos I did for my Asexual Meetup Mastery course, right, it was over 16 minutes long, right? You know, and I had to cut it down into smaller video. I think it's originally 20 minutes long. I had to cut it down to small videos because it wouldn't come out as a reasonable quality to upload to the system that I use for my courses, where my courses are hosted, right? They can only take up to 500 megabytes, and it was going way over. I was going 600 and something, right? So I had to cut it into smaller chunks. So I've had to, instead of having one video, I've got like 5 videos now, which is extra work for me, right? And I still haven't finished all the videos. You know, I've kind of been slow today, I think. I mean, I've sectioned them off, but I haven't actually put the intros and outros on all the extra ones yet. So, you know, I feel like I've been slow, and that's me criticizing myself. But I turn that into praise and think, Sandra, years ago you couldn't use iMovie. It took you 6 months. That's half a whole year to learn how to use iMovie. You're completely incompetent at it. You didn't understand it. Took you ages to get it in your brain. Now you can literally edit a video and chop it up really quickly. So, you know what I mean? You're doing a course that's got like 60 videos by the look of it. I mean, I said it was 50. It's going more towards 60 now. Do you know what I mean? And so I think it'll be about 55 maybe. But, you know, it's coming more towards the 60 end. But the point is, it's like, you know, like, and I haven't finished yet. I look how far I've come. Do you know what I mean? And so instead of being so self-critical about how slow I've been, I'm like thinking, you know, like how far you've come, you know? And I'm one of the worst people for being self-critical. I know this about myself. It's one of the things that does hold me back, and I've got to stop doing it. But I am prone to it, especially the slowness. I do feel I'm going too slow sometimes. The last 2 days, yesterday and the day before, I thought I did really well. I thought I was being very, very productive and I was being faster. But today I feel I've been slower. I've only actually uploaded one video. I've like edited more than that. Like I've got on my page here, I've got 5 videos in total, but it was only meant to be one. So I've had to section it off. So I've got 4 more videos. So do you know what I mean? It's not like I haven't done any work, but I feel like I've been very slow, and I do catch myself feeling like I've been slow a lot. But if I look back to the time in my life where I couldn't even do any video editing, I didn't understand our movie. Do you know what I mean? It's like I didn't even get it. I just honestly, it was only on the last day that I really got iMovie, the last day with the one-to-one instructor, and I knew stuff that he didn't on the end of it. And you know, because it takes me ages to learn things in my brain. My brain doesn't work like the average person. It's very slow in some ways. And I know this about myself, you know. So, but you have to accept your weaknesses and strengths as well when you are, you know, self-loving. So, number 4 is celebrate successes. So, you know, I mean, that ties in nicely with what I just said, really, doesn't it? Celebrate successes. So obviously 1 was self-date, 2 was praise yourself, 3 is stop criticizing yourself or catch yourself when you're criticizing yourself and turn it into praise. And then 4 is to celebrate successes. It's really important that you realize things that you achieve each and every day, however small, right? So I started off with 1 video this morning. I've now got 5 videos. That's still successful. I'm still doing some work. I've still done some stuff, right? I put a clothes wash on today. Now that might seem really like, oh, well, that's a normal clothes wash, but I don't like housework. You know what I mean? But I do wash my clothes quite a lot. And there was a lot of stuff I had to do for the clothes washing today. I don't want to go into it, but anyway, so you know, there's a lot of preparation I had to do. I had to like pre-wash some of the stuff, so because my washing machine isn't always good at stuff, and so anyway, it was quite, well, pre-wash stuff by hand, it was quite a lot. And so it's something that took me about an hour and a half, I think, to do that. And it's like, you know, it's not my favorite thing to do in the world. It's quite boring, but anyway, I had to do it, so it's done now, right? And it's been partly been dried. I've got to finish drying it later on tomorrow because my housemates were asleep and I'm not allowed the washer dryer on at certain times of night. So and my washing cycle is quite long. So yeah, do you know what I mean? It's kind of like you've got to celebrate successes, you know, the fact that I have done some video editing today, the fact that I have put a wash on, I cooked my food, obviously, you know, and I've done some exercises this morning. You know, so it's all good, but you've got to celebrate the successes, you know, the small successes as well. It's not just the big successes, the big wins. Like, obviously, when I get a book published, I'm over the moon that I've done something really well, I've finished something. But it's all about, like, praising yourself on the journey of doing something. Like, even if you read a book and you finished reading the book, right, you've finished something, you've been productive, you know, that's a success. Even just getting out of bed in the morning and changing your mood from a negative one to a positive one is good. Right, so my mood in the mornings lately hasn't been as good as it usually is. Yesterday it wasn't good. Today it was a little bit better. But as soon as I felt myself not being so happy, I stuck some dance music on. And yes, it's really good because it's high octane energy stuff. It makes me feel great, but it has got foreign guys in it, which then sets off my hyper-romanticism. And I start thinking about snogging foreign guys all the time, which isn't very good in one sense. But it does make my mood a lot better. It makes me really more productive, more energized, more ecstatic, more wanting to do stuff. So, you know, it's kind of like it's 50-50, 50% not great in one way, but 50% amazing in the other way. And I need to be productive at the moment. So I'm like, I put a different video on this morning, like an affirmation thing, which was good, but it wasn't getting me in the mood. So I'm like, just stick. And obviously I do dancing in between. You know, when I do some dancing, it really energizes, makes me feel good. It switches my mind around to positivity. So in order to you know, change your mood, you need to change your state. So one way you can do that is through music. It's a very, very good way of doing it. Put your most high octane energy level of music on that gets you out of the current state you're in, that can put you into a good mood really, really quickly and elevate you, which is what you need. You know, you don't want to be starting your day off in not such a good mood. But I've got some stuff I'm a bit anxious about at the moment, because I do still have anxiety myself. I admit that. And so, you know, when you have anxiety, sometimes it sometimes takes over you, whether you like, you know, whether you kind of like it or not. You have to manage it well. So the one way in which I manage it is by changing your state. Thank you for the thumbs up. You know, it's really, really important to change your state. So whatever you're doing in the day, don't be disheartened if your mood goes low or something, because you can change it around by taking a walk, by putting some music on, by spending half an hour, you know, like watching something, comedy or something, you know, just having some break and doing something different, you know, it can change your mood and elevate it. But successes are very good to celebrate. Write in the diary, like I have a diary of all the work I have to do, which is over here at the moment. So you know, I'm constantly writing in my diary what I need to do. I mean, my diary's full. I mean, look, you know, I'm not going to like see how much stuff I do. So I actually do a lot of stuff. That one isn't so full, but you know, as the month progresses, it gets fuller. Do you see what I mean? And so I have a lot of stuff to do. So I write down here of stuff that I've done in the day, or stuff I've got to do, then tick it off. I usually write both stuff I've done and stuff to do. Obviously, when I've done it, if I'm writing down stuff I've already done or got to do, then I'll tick it off. So when you tick it off, you build momentum. If you haven't finished it, you can put it on to the next day. I used to plan a lot more in advance, but I found the problem with that, me personally, is that I was always trying to catch up with myself, and that made me feel bad if I got behind, you know. So now I tend to just plan a bit of stuff in advance. So I already have some, you know, like Skype sessions, like interviews and all that type of stuff. But, you know, like my main days, I'm planning day to day, because otherwise I find it's too pressurizing. And then when I start to fall behind, I feel bad. You know, I don't want to be feeling bad. I want to be feeling good. So at the moment, this is how I kind of manage my life, is the fact that I, you know, do it day by day and the next day. So I'll write down, like, either in the morning, usually what I've got to do, or the night before, depending on, you know, how the day's gone. But it's really important to write successes in your diary. So successes are things you've done that day. It might be the stuff you just thought about, or ideas that came to mind. Like, you know, you might have the idea for a book, or the idea for a game, or just an idea to meet a friend or something. You can put your ideas in there. Ideas can still be successes because you're creatively thinking, and that's a very, very positive thing. I think people don't praise themselves enough for creative thinking. They don't see that as a success thing, but a creative thing is very, very success thing, because not many people can do it. You know, not many people can just let their imagination go and think creatively. So it's really important, you know. And for some people, just getting out of the bed, like I said, just getting out of bed, maybe you're not having a great time, and just literally getting yourself out of bed, having a shower, getting dressed, you know, just chilling and being with yourself is a success. Or you may have been stretching yourself. Like, you know, when I go out clubbing, I stretched myself last time. I was stood facing the audience dancing, whereas before I was facing a wall most of the time, not all the time, you know. And that's obviously something that's probably looks a bit weird to some people, like me dancing the walls, because I'm not, you know, I don't experience sexual attraction as an asexual person. I don't want to, like, you know, get guys like coming up for sex type stuff. I mean, obviously they're sexually attracted to me anyway, they can't help it. But do you know what I mean? I kind of like facing the wall and not making such eye contact with people, because, you know, I felt, you know, like I don't want to. So I only get attracted to foreign guys, really, not that much British. I don't really want to encourage any British guys to come near me. And also, you know, I do get a bit more shy in those type of environments, you know, if I'm honest. And it's more out of my comfort zone. Being on the stage part, facing an audience is a lot harder. Well, it was, than usually facing the wall. It's kind of like I'm dancing with the wall, because I'm on my own. I'm not really, obviously there's a load of people, I'm not really interested in dancing with a specific person, because I'm not into sex, you know. I'm not there for sex. I'm in for dancing predominantly, you know. So that's why I was kind of like dance with the wall a lot. But one guy came over and started taking the mickey out of me, but not this time, the time before. And I just pretty much ignored him. I just looked at him weirdly, like, what are you doing? Why are you dancing with the wall? Because he came over and purposely made out that he was dancing with the wall, whereas I danced in front of it. But he was like really doing this sexy dancing, sexy stuff right into the wall nearly. And I just looked at him like he was a weirdo, right? So that you can do that, you know, you don't have to like go along with someone making fun of you or taking the mickey. I just ignore it, you know. So he looked an idiot himself. I'm like, what are you doing? Okay, you're weird. And then going off. But I knew what he's doing. I knew he was trying to take the mickey out of me, but I just didn't accept it, because you don't have to accept things from people. Just because someone does something like that, takes a mickey, you don't have to accept they're doing that. You just ignore them and pretend they don't know what they're talking about, right? So therefore they don't win. But he had a point as the fact that, you know, I'm dancing at the wall. Like, why am I dancing at the wall? Why aren't I more confident in looking out and dancing in front of people? And that's what I got the message of. So I thought, right, I've got to try this time to actually go and dance and face the audience and smile at them a lot more, face the people on the lower floor, because I'm on the stage bit, which there's not many people. So obviously, like, if I look out, everyone can see me, right? And obviously I want to be a public speaker more in the future, so that is good practice for me. But when you're a person who has come from an anxiety background, you know, everything like that is a challenge to even someone who's as confident as I come across. You know, I still have more confidence to gain. Oh, thank you, Richard. So true. So, you know, it's really, really important that I push myself and that I push my own boundaries, as it were, and I try and grow my confidence. Do you know what I mean? So always celebrate your successes, however big or small. You know, like I said, it could be just getting out of bed in the morning if you're not feeling great, right? But you get up, you know. I exercise quite a lot, because if I don't exercise, my fibro pain gets worse, right? But obviously with fibro people, it can hurt to exercise, but the lesser of the two evils is to exercise more, because I have less pain, but I do certain types of exercises and certain amounts of quantity, so I don't overdo it. But my body has got stronger, which is good. I'm more flexible than I used to be, which is great. Well, I used to be in more recent years, because I always used to be kind of flexible before. So you know, all that's good. So you need to celebrate, like, however small or big it is. Where it's small, just getting out of bed or putting the garbage out or something, or talking to a neighbour, to actually doing something that's really got you out of your comfort zone and really pushed you. And obviously, if you go on a self-date, that's a success, because if you actually gone out on the date you promised yourself, you've been respecting yourself, loving yourself enough to take yourself seriously and make yourself an important person for that day, yeah, and for that date. That time, even though you've got other things to do, you have to make time for you. So celebrate your success, however big, small. It's very important to write them down in a diary or on a calendar at least. You should be writing them down, because when you're writing them down, you can look at this and think, oh, wow, I've done this. I mean, you may look at something like I look in my diary, think I haven't actually done that today. That's for tomorrow, and there's more stuff going on tomorrow. But you know, try and be as positive as possible and less self-critical, and praise yourself more. So number 5, because I have made notes about this, so I'm remembering some from memory. I'm looking at this as well. Oh yes, haha. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, I love you. I want you to look at yourself in the mirror and literally say, I love you. Look in your eyes and face and say, I love you. And I want you to do this 2 ways. One is clothed, the other is naked, right? I want you to do it both ways on your own with no one looking. Because if you could do it naked as well, then you can start loving your body, because I know a lot of people have got body issues, right? With their own body. The only way you can start loving your own body is by physically standing there, looking in the mirror at your own body and saying, I love you, and meaning it, right? Maybe at the beginning you might not totally mean it as much as you should, because you haven't been used to doing it, right? But the more you repeat it, and like, you can even say what you like about it, you know, it's really, really important. You know, I do that. I'm in the mirror, I come out the shower, my mirror is right in front of out front of the shower room. So as soon as I open my shower room door, the mirror is right in front of me. And I tell myself I love you, and I go, mwah, you sexy thing. Even though I'm asexual, I still say, you're so sexy, Sandra. And it really helps with confidence, you know. It really helps confidence, you know. I'm like, and I say, yeah, I've got a nice body, I love this, I love that, and it's great, you look gorgeous, and blow myself a kiss. And that really increases self-confidence, self-worth, and self-esteem. And you know, if you get into a situation where you might be out and find someone attractive, you can remember that you're just as equally as attractive as them, if not more, obviously. and really boost your self-esteem up and really boost yourself up, because it's so important. And I wasn't so comfortable with my body before, but because I've trained myself now to look at myself in the mirror, to say I love you, to think how gorgeous my body is, despite the fact I don't like women's bodies, I still really, really love my own. I've got so used to loving my own now and how it's unique with all its curves and everything, that I do actually love it now. I'm not saying there's not things that I could improve on, but overall I really love it. I like what I see, and I've got really baby soft skin, so I really, really appreciate that about me, that my skin looks really, really young, because I keep my arms shaved because I hate arm hair. So as a female, I'm always shaving my arms every day in the shower, so it's nice and smooth. So I got really like teenager skin. As you know, I like to live like a teenager, so it makes me feel great. So pamper yourself as well. If you're in the shower, if you can use shower gel, I can't, put some shower gel on, make yourself smell nice for yourself. Look after your own personal hygiene. But I do want you to say in the mirror, that I love you. I want you to get used to it saying clothed and naked as well. It's very, very, very important that you love the body that you're in, because, we're only in this life once, and it's no good you criticizing or hating on your body. Obviously, if you don't like your body, you need to really do something about it. That might be an issue for you that you really comes to fruition, that you've got to do something about your body more, and that's fine. But you still got to love what you've got in the moment. Do you know what I mean? Because there's no point in criticizing yourself all the time. It just makes you feel bad. So you've got to love the skin you're in at the moment. Sam, I tell myself I love me and I'm gorgeous, laugh out loud, but generally fully clothed. I'll try the other way too. Oh, that'd be good, Sam. Try the other way. Yeah, because I know you're not used to doing the thing the other way. But that's good. Yeah, I'm really proud of you, because I know you didn't used to be like that. So, and I see you when you're with me as well. You go, oh, I love me. I'm so gorgeous. I love that about you. It's really good. So I know it works, because I know that I know you do that a lot now, and it's really good because I can tell you're a confident person, and it's good that you look good, because you're not going to accept a guy who doesn't treat you well now. I also want to shave my arms, so I've done my legs. Oh, brilliant! Yeah, my arms and legs are shaved. I shave them every day. I shave more than a bloke. I'm sure I shave more than a bloke. I don't, I always shave my arms and legs in the shower. I didn't even have a shower till late tonight. I didn't even eat my food till coming up to 11 o'clock. That's why I was late on the stream. But yeah, I just, and I shave it with a razor, a man's razor. Well, a woman's razor, but I have shaved with men's razors before, but a razor, not electric shaver, because electric shavers, they don't work for me. They're still stubble and it itches. So I shave it with a razor every time. And it's really nice, smooth, soft baby skin. I love it. I do love my skin. I'm thinking, gosh, you got a really nice teenager style body, Sandra. You're a very lucky girl. I'm like, yeah, I know. So I do, because I like younger bodies in general. Obviously, like legal age. But you know what I mean? I just like younger skin. So it's really good for me. The only things that's older looking is my hands, and I have to put hand cream on all the time. So I have to buy it. This stuff's really good. I'm not paid by anyone to say this, right? But this Nivea cream is beeswax one. I just thought I'd let you know that this is really good for my hands. The beeswax version. Poundland, I got it in the UK. But I have to keep putting it on, because you can see that my hands get they're older looking than the rest of my body, which is really annoying. They do look much older than I am, even in birth certificate age. And so it's really annoying. But I get dermatitis on there, so I have to put the beeswax one. Works really well when I put it on. I'm not paid by Nivea to do this, by the way, but I will put a link to Amazon for it if it's got it on Amazon. I don't know if it has it on Amazon. I am affiliate for Amazon, so if you do purchase it for Amazon, I'll get a few pennies. But it's really good stuff. I buy it from Poundland, actually. I'm not an affiliate for Poundland. So I'm not endorsing them. I'm not saying every Amazon product, every Poundland product's good, but the cream's really good. We're talking about self-love, so I may as well put some on. Because self-love is all about pampering yourself, isn't it? And making yourself look good for yourself. So once you put it on like this, it's really good because, you know what I mean? It makes the hands better. I don't know if you can see that, but it does make the hands better. It makes them a lot more softer. So yeah, it's quite good. It's very good, actually. So yeah, celebrate your successes It's really important. And then do the mirror thing, you know, where you talk to yourself, tell yourself you love yourself, and that is fully clothed and then naked. Yes, some people will get freaked out by the nakedness, but you know, you need to love your own body, because one of the dangers you can get into if you don't love your own body as it is you can get low confidence and low self-esteem, and then someone who might be not a good person for you might come along as a partner and try and make yourself feel great about your own body that you're not making yourself feel, and then you kind of become more reliant on them, and they can take that away at any minute, you know. Or, you know, and it helps, you know, for people not to take the mickey out of you as well in terms of your body. Like, it doesn't, you know, you become more resilient. So it doesn't matter what people say. Like, I'm not a skinny girl, but I'm not a huge girl either, right? I mean, I bought new clothes recently. I got some money for Christmas. It's the first time I bought new clothes for myself, going out clubby clothes for ages, right? And I've got size 10, size 12, size 14 and size 16. The 16s are a bit big for me, to be honest, but it's kind of like I love the style and I hadn't got a smaller one, but they are a bit big. I really need a 14. But can you see how much the sizes vary from 10 to 16? It's yeah, it's a lot. It's like 10's quite slim, 16's bigger. Do you know what I mean? I don't go above a 16 usually. But do you see what I mean? So it's kind of like, and for Christmas I got size 16 tops. But you know, I've got more. I've got like about 3, I think it is. I got one size 10, I think it is. 3 size 12s, 2 size 14s, and 2 size 16s. So it's like, do you know what I mean? It's like, but the 16s are a bit big. I wish they had a 14 in it actually, because they fit better. But do you know what I mean? It's clubbing anyway, but it just looks a bit baggy on me. But I'm 16 trousers usually, or 14 skirt. So do you know what I mean? There's like different sizes that I am, but that's not like huge person. But obviously going towards the 16 end is a bit bigger, right? But you know, I love my curves. You know, I'm used to having a curvy body, right? I'm used to my hips being bigger. And a lot of guys that I'm actually interested in terms of relationship and kissing, a lot of them are foreign guys, and they used to like women in their foreign countries usually being curvier anyway. So that's quite good. And I get loads of people liking my pictures despite the fact I'm not skinny. So it's not about being skinny, or you know what I mean, it's about being confident with the body you've got, and you know, wearing clothes that you look good in, that you feel good in, you know, that do show your curves off or whatever, do you know what I mean, and that make you feel good. And the more you love your own body, the less you'll rely on the love and validation of another person in a relationship, should you get into that, you know. And it's very, very important. The more you can self-love, the more you can protect yourself from future possible harm with someone who doesn't appreciate you for who you are and appreciate your looks. Do you know what I mean? Because it's really important that you do appreciate your own looks. So make sure you do that. Number 6, speak your truth, and even if it's not what people want to hear. So I'm kind of a pro at this. So you must speak your truth, even if it's not what people want to hear. So this is all about being more true to who you are, more of your authentic self, and speaking your mind. There'll be people who don't like it. You know, I know this channel, I cover a lot of different topics, from, you know, from asexuals who hate sex, who are sex repulsed, who are disgusted at the thought of any physical touching, you know, all the way through to the grey asexuals that do like some sexual acts. You know, that is a huge spectrum. That is like the whole asexual spectrum. And obviously some people it's sex repulsed, that hate nudity or hate touching, blah blah blah, all those type of things. They might hate some of my content I'm talking about on the more sexual end of the spectrum. Like last night I did 2 actually live streams last night. Well, one ended up being this morning, and here I am again still doing another stream, because the first one it was a long one and I accidentally pulled the power cable out of my Mac, so I decided to then go live and do a whole new live stream. So if you haven't watched those yet, there's 2 of them to watch. But you know what I mean, I spoke my truth on the grey asexuality one. I know some people who are not of the grey minded, you know, they would find probably some of the stuff yucky what I was talking about. But it's important that I be inclusive on this channel, and also I do have some grey areas myself, and it's important for me not to just admit that to myself but to you, so you know that I'm trustworthy. You know, I'm not just on some channel giving it the bull shite, excuse my language, you know, trying to pretend to be something I'm not. because I'm going to be writing more books, and some of those are probably going to be I'm going to be writing books for asexuals. So that's my first and foremost priority. I'm working on the Asexual Guide to Sex book still at the moment, so that's still ongoing. It will be published this year. And I am going to be doing more and more books for asexuals. However, a large proportion of our world is still heterosexual, so it makes sense that I'm going to do books for heterosexuals. It's going to be a little bit harder in the sense that I kind of like really feel more comfortable doing books for asexuals, because that's what I'm used to. But I am a writer. I do love writing, and I'm going to have to write some books for sexuals sometimes, because there are, I do write, and it's a big market. So that's what I'm going to be doing. But I don't want to sit here saying to you stuff that's untrue or not telling you the truth. I want you to understand my truth, and understand that I've got grey areas. I don't hide them, because some people, I have people even come to me in private message and they have grey areas, and they're afraid of saying stuff because they're afraid of being judged, afraid of people criticizing them. They are even confused themselves sometimes. Like I said, if you watched my live stream last night, it does get confusing even for me. I'm the person who is the person experiencing it, so if it gets confusing for me, it's bound to get confusing for other people. But it's very important that you speak your truth, and I know some people might be put off by the channel when I'm talking about some stuff that is to do with sexual stuff, and I do understand that, because predominantly I am an asexual channel, and it might be like, why are you talking about this? We have enough of this in the world. Because that's like self-criticism coming out as well. So it's kind of good in a way when you're self-critical to think what other people might think, but then it can get too much. You stop yourself from doing stuff. So I think it's very important that you kind of rein your self-criticism in a bit and think, like just be you, just be yourself. And if people don't like it, they don't like it. People who do care about you and like it will accept you for who you are, and they will still be in your life, and they will still watch my channel. They'll understand that I clearly put about asexuality, which encompasses a lot of different things, not just one specific form of asexuality. And so, it's very important that you speak your truth, whatever environment you're in. So there's a lot of people in the world that act like chameleons, right? They change to the environment around them in not such a good way. So when they're talking to one set of people, they'll speak a certain way, but when they're talking to someone else, they'll speak another way. And sometimes you don't know who that person is, because they change differently depending on who's in front of them, because they're not being their true, authentic self. And people who lie are not being their true, authentic self either. They're lying because they're worried about what people think of them. They're insecure. They are, trying to get people to like them. They're trying to not let people get away from them, and it's a perpetuating cycle of, like, once someone starts a lie, they have to say another lie to cover it up, then they forget the lies they've told in the first place, and you get found out. It's not worth lying. There's no reason to lie. Only people who are insecure and care what people think too much, and living a life half lived, if you know what I mean, living a life at the mercy of other people, as it were, and other people's opinions, it's not healthy for you. If you're a person that has been lying in their life, just stop it. I know there's people who do lie or have lied, and some people do change. They make a conscious effort to just not do that anymore, because they realize it doesn't work in their favor, and they're not going to breed trust with people. They're not going to be able to have those deep, committed friendships and relationship. Do you know what I mean? Because it just ends up being a super superficial I think that's going to be a new word. Shallow and superficial life. Do you know what I mean? And some of the people that lie, the ones that want the most connected life, they want, you know what I mean? They're kind of pushing people away by lying, by not being true to them they really are, because people can't see the real them. So they can never, ever make that deep emotional connection with them. Those people who lie probably really crave. They want to be loved. They want to be cared about. They want people to like them for who they are, but people don't know who they are. That's the problem. And so that's why liars never really win in the end. They might win the game of lying, but they don't win in the game of love. They win in the game of authenticity. They don't win in the game of winning someone's heart and keeping it and maintaining it and sustaining it in a healthy, happy way. Sam. As a sex repulsed ace, I respect you for being genuine and honest and inclusive across the spectrum. I want to understand how others stand, even when it seems icky to me. Oh, thank you, Sam. Yeah, because I know you're very sex repulsed, and so I know some of my content sometimes I'm thinking, Sam probably won't like this, because I know it will probably you'll probably like pass the sick bucket. But I'm really glad. Thank you for supporting me still and this channel. I really appreciate you. Yeah, it's nice. Yeah. Oh, thank you. It's nice that you want to understand how others stand as well. Thank you so much, because I know it is difficult. I mean, I even now know I'm different to how I used to be. When I first started my asexual journey, I talk a lot more about stuff and grey stuff and sexual stuff now than I used to when I first started this channel. I never thought I'd be talking about this type of stuff on my channel, because it's an asexual channel. It kind of just has happened, and it's just the way it is. And I just think it's more being true to my asexual journey. And also I get people on here now that aren't necessarily asexual that do come and ask for advice as well. So I think it's really important that I do cover the whole spectrum as well, because I know some people do come in private message and they are very concerned about certain things because it's not squeaky clean asexual stuff. There's sign of grey areas, and I know they do feel left out as well, and they get very anxious about it and very nervous and very worried and worked up about it. Some people do, and especially they don't want people to find out because they feel they'll be judged and stuff. But it's okay, I do have grey areas, it just happens. It's who I am as a person. I can't help it. I can sit here denying it till I'm blue in the face, pretending I'm not that, but there's no point. I don't lie to myself. Part of self-loving is not lying to yourself about your truth. Even if you don't want to accept your truth, you need to accept your truth, because only then can you truly love yourself in your heart. Like, I know some of my weaknesses. I mean, God knows why I want to kiss the Bangladesh guy after he's lied to me, but I do still want to kiss him, if I'm honest. It's very difficult for me. It's like, why kiss a liar? He's bad. You know what I mean? So that's kind of really difficult for me. So do you know what I mean? It's very, very hard sometimes actually being your true authentic self and being truthful and honest with who you are, and your life is a journey as well as your asexuality is a journey. There might be situations that crop up that's out of what you thought would happen. Do you know what I mean? It's like, then you've got to deal with it. And I think everything works itself out in the end, good or bad. I think it does. But I think you need to make sure your true authentic self is the main point, and don't lie and don't make up stories and don't fabricate things and don't pretend to be an asexual that you're not just because you're worried about what everyone else thinks. I know there's quite a lot of demisexuals and grey asexuals that don't even feel they can tell someone they're demi or grey because people won't accept them, but you're accepted here. Do you know what I mean? I've been much more able to accept and love myself through watching your videos. Oh, thank you. And speaking to you and other aces and other non-binary people. Thank you, Sam. Yeah, I'm really happy that you can be non-binary as well. Like, come out as your non-binary self. That's really, really important. Richard, I'm hetero romantic grey. Oh, that's good, Richard. So when you say heteromantic grey, is that you've got grey areas, or are you heteromantic grey asexual? Because obviously I was talking last night on the video about grey areas as opposed to grey asexuality, where you do experience some limited rare like sexual attraction under limited rare or specific circumstances, or not enough to want to act on it. So I think there's quite a few asexuals that do have grey areas, actually. But yeah, that's why I separate the grey areas, because it just gets so confusing. But do you know what I mean? Because I'm definitely a heteromantic. You're very similar to me then, probably, Richard. But yeah, it's really important that people love their grey areas as well as their black and white areas. You see, it's really weird with me as well, because I'm always a black and white girl. I don't usually have grey areas in life. But when I found I was asexual and I started to realise I've got grey areas, I'm like, Sandra, you'll never got grey areas than anything else. And even that freaked me out. I'm like, how can you have grey areas? Doesn't make sense. Because I like things black and white. I like it to be this way and this. I like things to be in my own boxes. Like, this is this box, that's that box. You either are or you aren't. So me having some grey areas was difficult for me to accept. Even now, I tell you, I'm still confused by these things myself. I don't understand how a person can be this and this at the same time sometimes. but it's true. It's who I am. So I have to accept that about myself. It does even get confusing to me. I'm like, well, and I think I look from an outsider's point of view quite a lot. I think that's probably why I'm quite self-critical as well, because I think I do look at outside points of view, and I'm thinking, if I was an outsider seeing this, how would I think it was? How would it seem to me? It would seem weird. It wouldn't make sense. So I kind of then, I guess, I take the opinion of a person who I don't even know and kind of project that maybe onto myself as I'm confused, because I would be confused if I was someone else. But, it is what it is. I am who I am, and I can't help that. So you've got to accept yourself for who you are, and you've got to understand that, asexuality is a journey. Your life is a journey. So how I was years ago, right? I couldn't even talk to a group of people. I had to be one-on-one with everyone all the time. Do you know what I mean? Richard, nothing is really black and white anymore. It's very interesting you say that, Richard, because in pretty much most of my life, I would say I'm pretty black and white. But it's not always a good thing being black and white. But yeah, it's very interesting. I get very with my personality, I prefer black and white. I think obviously in terms of sexuality and gender and stuff like that, very much nothing's black and white anymore. But I mean, me personally, I know I'm black and white with who I get attracted to. I'm never attracted to females. I'm very black and white about that. It's very, very, I'm only attracted to guys. I'm never attracted to women. So that's very black and white for me, It's very black and white, certain things like that I will eat. So, for example, I'd never eat duck. I used to have little ducks that used to come on the stream where my parents lived with me when I was in a bungalow. So I never ever eat duck in my life. It's a rule I never have. I would never eat them. I hate the smell of it because it reminds me of my little friends. Do you know what I mean? So there's certain things for me that are very, very black and white. And I think, sometimes having black and white views can center you, and sometimes it can help you to reach your goals quicker, which I'm coming on to goals a bit later, because if you're like, this is how I get it done, this is how I'm doing it, and you do it and it works, great. But obviously if it doesn't, then you've got to try something else, which is where the grey area comes into it. But you do raise an important point, Richard, that there's a lot of stuff that isn't black and white. But yeah, I guess I still like to lead a black and white life, but not with my grey areas. I can't. I've got lots of grey areas where attraction and romance is concerned, a behaviour. I think not as in sexual attraction. I'm definite. I don't experience sexual attraction. I test myself on that. I do test myself. If I'm with a heterosexual guy, I test myself all the time. I'm like, do you experience sexual attraction? No. I just keep coming back with the same answer because I'm like, how can you be so attracted in so many ways but not have sexual attraction? It's just because I don't. I'm asexual. I just really, really don't. So I know I'm 100% asexual like that because I just don't experience any sexual attraction. Nothing. Just nothing there. Nothing. It feels weird when I never used to be consciously aware of that. Never used to be consciously aware of that. So it feels weird when I'm consciously aware of that now, especially when I'm kissing guys in club. I'm not even feeling aroused when I'm doing that, which I usually or used to do, I think. But I think maybe it's because I'm not indoors with them and I don't let them touch certain areas. But I sometimes have even got aroused just through kissing a tiny little bit, so without any touching. So I don't really understand that, but I'm like, okay, I'm less aroused these days, maybe. So that's fine. So anyway, so number 7 is very important, and how to self-love. 7th way is to take time out for yourself. This is very, 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 very important, especially if your mood has gotten really low recently, especially if you've been doing a lot to help others, especially if you've had a lot of people putting demands on your time, demands on yourself, especially if you've got a lot of people wanting stuff from you, right? So sometimes for me, right, I do help a lot of people, right? And sometimes it will get to a stage where I will start feeling like I just can't do any more work. I will start feeling like I need some time out for me. And if I don't listen to that, I can get ill because the body naturally shuts down. And it will be like you're getting a rest, whether you like it or not. I'm taking you out of the equation. So it's very, very important that you take time out for you, even if it's just a couple of hours a day or whatever, that you're taking some time out for you. But you might need a whole week out for you. You might need a week of not being on social media, not being chatting to many people, just doing a week of nothing much. Sometimes you just need to do a week of nothing much, and it's okay to do that. Just give yourself the challenge of doing nothing much. For me, that's a huge challenge because I'm used to being busy all the time and doing stuff, and I get bored very easily. So giving myself a challenge of doing nothing much is very difficult for me. I had to do that, or I had the respiratory infection, because that was my body's way of shutting down, saying you're doing too much, you're ill. I mean, I'm forcing you to do this. So this is what happens. The body and the brain are very, very connected, more connected than people realize. And what happens is when you're subconsciously stressed and you're subconsciously, your mind's like, I really wish I could have a break now, but I can't. Eventually, your brain will tell this to your body. Your body will decide that it's got to become ill, and it will literally shut parts of your body down because you're not listening to it. And therefore, you get ill, and therefore, you have to take some time out, because you've done too much. Your brain is frazzled, and it's hard for me, right? So my brain gets very, very active. It's constantly doing stuff, so it never really has a break, and all that drains your energy, right? It does drain energy. Even though I'm a high octane energetic girl, it does drain you, because it's like you've got programs in the back of your mind constantly going, and sometimes I'm doing some weird stuff lately because my brain is just not engaged in the way it should be all the time, because I got too much on my mind. I end up doing things that are just not normal, and I'm like, what are you doing this for, Sandra? So yeah, I nearly put an item of clothing that was meant to go in the washing machine today in the oven, which would have been disastrous because it would have probably caught on fire. So I was literally, I had something in my hand, and I went, instead of going to put it in the washing machine, I had my food in the oven. Actually, I was just about to open the oven and to literally throw it in there because I wasn't really paying attention to what I was doing. I was thinking of all these other things. And then I realised it's an oven. What are you doing putting clothing in an oven? And I'm like, oh, sugar. But you know what I mean? That's a dangerous way of your mind being. I mean, as you have I've got fibromyalgia, you tend to get something called brain fog, which I tend not to pay much attention to. But, I have noticed my brain over the last year or two has been getting times of moments when it's doing weird stuff. Like it's not engaged. It's like behind itself sometimes. And, I can't punish myself with that. I just have to be consciously aware of it and try and get better from it. And, and realize that I've got a lot going on in my mind. So I'm not, I'm not really concentrating on what I'm doing. I'm thinking about all this other stuff that's going on. And that's why it's very important to take time out for yourself to settle your brain down sometimes. Sometimes your brain just needs to switch off and not do anything much, but it's very important to take time out for you, especially when you've had a lot of demands put on you. Because if you don't, you'll be running on empty, and then you'll find that it's harder to communicate with people. It's harder to help other people. It feels more like it's a strain, not because you don't want to help people, but because you're not looking after yourself, and you're putting too much pressure on yourself, and you're not having a break, and therefore you can't give to other people when you're running on empty. It's like a car. When the car is low on fuel, if you're not fueling the car up, the car is, spitting and spluttering and chugging along because it's not got enough fuel and energy in it. It's not got enough stuff that's keeping it going and well oiled. It's not running smoothly. It's running crankily, right? So you've got to make sure you take time out for you and don't feel guilty about it. Make sure you take time out. One of my friends, he's very, very sick at the moment. He's got breathing problems, severe breathing problems, and been in hospital. He watches this channel usually, but can't watch it at the moment. So hello to my friend. And he's very, very sick. He was at hospital yesterday. The day before, because it's gone into the next day now, and that's because he was out in all weathers looking after animals, And whilst I think it's great he's looking after animals, he really has to look after himself. I'm really worried. We were meant to be video chatting and couldn't, and he sent me a message by voicemail, which he shouldn't be doing, right, on Facebook. But and he can hardly breathe when he's talking. So I'm quite worried about him at the moment, and that's because he's putting too much first over himself, and now. He's suffering, bless his heart, because he does like putting other people and animals and things first, which is great. It's highly commendable, but he needs to look after himself because you know what I mean? I want this person to be here still, but he's in a very, very bad way with his breathing. especially when you have to go to hospital and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it's really important that you look after yourself, because your body will start reacting, even if you don't want it to. It will just do that. It will take over and make you rest. Do you know what I mean? So make sure you take time out if you don't feel guilty about it. And if you need to tell some people, I'm going to be offline for a bit, so they're not worried about you, do it, you know? So, you know, I spoke to my friends and another friend, and I said for them should take some time out, you know, and then message me when you're back, you know? So sometimes, you know, you might need to tell some people, because if you just disappear, they might think something's happened to you, right? If they really care about you. You know, if you're taking any length of time, if it's just a day, then probably not going to notice that much, right? But if you're like taking a whole week off, they're kind of going to not want to know what's happening with you, you know? So, you know, and especially if you're ill, it is important. If you're really, really sick, like my friend is, his breathing, I've been keeping in touch with him, just asking him how he's doing, because I want to make sure he's all right, because he's quite critical in that sense. So, you know, I am messaging him every now and again, seeing how he is, and he's having to go to sleep early and stuff. But you know, I'm quite worried about him. So it's important that, you know, if you have got friends that are poorly, that you do check in with them and make sure they're all right as well. But you know, you need to take time out for you, because you can't be looking after other people when you know what I mean. You'll find, like, when I get really, really ill, right, I find it strain to even message on Facebook. I find it strain to do anything. I find it strain to message people back, because I'm not filling my own cup up. It's kind of like I've not got much energy, so I have to conserve it for myself. Do you know what I mean? To get better. So when I start to get to the straining feeling, I'm like, no, you need to pull back, Sandra. You need to pull back, because you're doing so much and you can't do everything. You've got to remember there's just one of you. It's very important. Right. 8, look after your health first, which is what I've just been talking about, really. Yeah, look after your health first, because if you don't, then obviously this is what happens. So when I had my respiratory infection last year and I lost my voice and couldn't live stream for 2 weeks, it was quite difficult, right? But I realized then that I have to put my health first more, that I haven't been doing that as much as I should, you know? Because if I'm not healthy, I'm not going to be productive. Therefore, I'm not going to be happy. And therefore, I'm not going to make much money. So I worked out, I've got affirmations over there. You can't see, they're on one of my wardrobe doors, that says I'm healthy, I'm wealthy, I'm happy and productive. Affirmations are things you say in present tense as if they were true. So it might be something you want to come true. So maybe you're not totally happy every single day and you want to be happy. So you put an affirmation of I am happy. So the more you say I'm happy and you smile when you say it, the more you become it, you see? So affirmations are like reprogramming your brain for success. So, but I worked out that I need to be healthy first, then I'm more productive, then I'm more happy, then money will come, you know, in that order. And so I have to look after my health as a priority for me. You know, even now I feel like I'm going slow, but I do feel like I'm doing quite a lot at the same time. So I've got to watch that. Do you know what I mean? I've got to watch that I'm still looking after my own health. It's very, very important for me. So sometimes it's a balancing act, you know, between having time off, time out to look after yourself and actually doing productive stuff as well to look after yourself, you know? You've just got to take time out for you. You've got to put your own health first. I know that might sound weird and you think, oh, I can keep going, but I see the amount of people that keep going, and eventually they burn themselves out and they get sick and then they don't want to be sick. So you must put your health first, you know, rather than the demands of other people, you know. And this comes into relationships and friendships as well. Like, for example, if you've got unhealthy, I've got good friendships now. But if you've got unhealthy friendships, you need to be speaking up and maybe even leaving those people behind. You know, I did a video recently about how to, you know, basically, you know, like let a friend go in the full sense of friendship, you know. And that was about I'm still friends with the person, but you know, they're not reciprocating my friendship as much like they should be. They're not, you know, treating me as good as I should be treated, because I'm going out my way to see them and they don't want to see me basically anymore. And instead of saying they don't want to see me because they're too busy and they got stuff going on in their life, they would just say they're sick. So I worked it out in the end, but I still love and care about the person, my friend. I've known them since a very, very small age. So I'm still Facebook friends with them. But, you know, I had to let them go for my own good, as in keeping seeing them, because, you know, sometimes you just have to do that. And so that is part of your self-care. That's part of being healthy, is having healthier relationships. You know, there was a person a long time ago, an asexual girl, who I was helping for a long, long time. I think it was nearly 2 years. But she just kept repeating the same pattern and getting worse and worse and end up with an abusive guy. She went back to this abusive guy. She left him, knew full well he was abusive, and went back to him, you know, and I had to walk away. And I told her, she goes, "Oh, block me." And I said, "No, you block me. It's fine." But, you know, she's like, "Oh, you're not my real friend." I was thinking, I've been with you through thick and thin for 2 years. But if someone's not listening to me, and they're not listening even to themselves, and they're going back with an abuser over again, I'm walking away, because I've been in abusive relationships and I don't want that. I don't want to hear that type of stuff, that what the guy's doing to the woman all the time. I've had that in my past. I don't need it in my life now. As much as I care about people, that's their life. It's not my life. You know, I'll help to a certain extent, but I won't put myself through that again. I'm not going to sit there helping someone for 2 years like that, you know, and they're not paying listen to me anymore, you know, because I'm done with that. You know, I have to help as many asexual people as I can, and as many people as I can. If I'm spending that time over there, that's draining my energy. You know, there's only so much you can help some people with. People won't help themselves. They won't listen to themselves. They don't listen to me. Nothing's going to change. It's like there's no point in hammering the issue. You let them go, because clearly you're not doing them any good. Because if you're doing them any good, they'd be listening to you, paying attention and acting what you say. Neo, I don't know why I'm here. Laugh out loud. Oh, hi, Neo. I think one of my housemates has got a cat called Neo, actually. Sorry, just go on a complete tangent there. Welcome to the channel. This is an asexual channel, which means I lack sexual attraction. It's a sexual orientation. Asexuality is, just in case you didn't know. But tonight's episode is all about self-love, and we're 12 ways to self-love, and we're on number 8 that I've just finished, which was look after your health first. Because if you can't look after your own health first, then, you know, you're not going to be in a position to help other people. So number 9 is pursue your goals, passions, and dreams. So one of the major ways you can self-love is by pursuing your own passions, your own goals, and your own dreams. Now, this is very important. Your own goals, your own passions, and your own dreams, because in life we can be very easily influenced by people such as our parents, our relatives, our friends, our family, our immediate peer group, you know. And if those people have their own ideas as what's the best career path for you, what's the best job for you, what's the best goals for you to do in your life, you're not living your true authentic life, which goes back to one of the previous things I said about being, you know, speaking your truth and being authentic. So you need to live your own passions, your own dreams, your own goals in order to self-love. Self-love is about recognizing what you want in your life, recognizing what's going to make you happy, recognizing your special talents, your special gifts. Doesn't matter what other people say or think. So, for example, I love writing books, right? I've got the asexual book out. I've got other books out, right? I believed in myself to do that. So it doesn't matter if other people are said to me that, oh, they didn't. No one's ever said you're not good at writing to me, right? Well, actually, I'll tell a lie. There was one asexual guy that decided to try and get some money out of me. And as a blackmail tactic, he was trying to put pressure on me, saying, "Oh, you can't even write a message to me," which was a message back to him, like, "No, I'm not doing that," in a text. So if you want to say about us writing, he was just like, "There's no way I'm going to give money to people." Obviously, I was blocked and shoved out of my group. But I had someone else complain about him as well. So he was, you know, I don't do that, and clearly I don't think he was asexual. And the other thing, he was just after money. It's a bit sad, but never mind. Some people are like that. So that's their business, not yours. But what you've got to do is, you know, you remember your talent. So say someone said something was impossible, right? You can't do something. Just because someone else has said it doesn't mean to say it's true, right? So some people may have thought in past that I'll never get a book out, which isn't true, because I publish books. You know, I've got my own imprint. Do you know what I mean? It happens because I created a goal years ago. I knew when I started my quirkybooks.wordpress.com blog, which was 10 years ago this year now. It's been 9 years ago last year. So in 2010, when I started my blog, I knew that I wanted to own a publishing company of my own called Quirky Books. That was always my idea. right back then, right back even in 2009 when I started my quirkybooks.net website. I think it was 2009 I had that. So it's it's been a long time coming. I've always had ambitions for that, and in 2017 I got that as my own imprint. I'm registered imprint in the UK now under that Quirky Books name. So it's very important that I got that for myself. And so it doesn't matter what other people think. It doesn't matter if people think that oh, you want to be a writer and oh, you can't write, or you'll never do it, you'll never create a book, you'll never get it out. Don't believe it. Don't trust it. Trust yourself. Work on your own goals, ambitions, and dreams. Your own, not other people's, not what your parents think, not what your relatives think. You know what I mean? And if you've got good friends who support you, all the better. But maybe you've got some friends who are old school and they don't believe in this modern age, and they're like, oh, you can't do this and you can't do that. It's rubbish. Don't listen to that. Live your own life. Set goals for yourself. Small goal, achieve it. Small goal, achieve it. Small goal, achieve it. Break your big goal down into small chunks. If you're writing a book, usually it takes on average these days to write a year to write a book. My first book took me 2.5 years to write, so I've improved greatly, right? But the Asexual Perspectives book, this one here, this took me about a year to write. This was to do with interviewing all the people for it as well. I mean, there's 46 other people as well as myself in the book, right? My Asexual Guide to Sex, I've been working on since June last year now. It might not be published till June this year, so it might again be a year. Because at the moment, I'm still having edits with the interviewees, and some people haven't got all their answers back into me yet. And one person, I've had 41 emails just go back and forth between me and a person. People don't understand the amount of work and emails that go into the books. You know what I mean? Because I do the book formats in an interview style, but I do that purposely so that I make sure all the key questions that my readers would want to know the answers to are in the book from each person, and you can contrast the different points of view. It's done very deliberately. But it may just look like, oh, someone's just asked questions and answered them. That's not how it actually is, especially not for the Asexual Guide to Sex book. Some people are talking about very, very sensitive subject matter. And when they're talking about themselves, they obviously know what they're talking about. But I have to look from the reader's point of view all the time. How does this make sense? What is actually happening here? Because just because the person understands what they're writing doesn't mean to say an outsider would. You know what I mean? So there's wording that has to be changed slightly. There's commas that have to be put in. There's some things that aren't quite, I mean, obviously the stories that are getting finished now, they're all tickety-boo and you can understand them really well and they're great, but when you're working on these things, there's wording that has to be changed. There's expressions that have to be done a certain way in order for people to understand things. It's very, very in depth. So, it takes me on average about a year to write, because I write them myself. I don't go copying other people's work. Some people just copy other people's work. So, and when you're interviewing other people, you've got their time as well as your time that you're spending, so people got to work it around their work, and I have to work it around my other work. So, it's not just as straightforward, but they're my goals, ambitions, and dreams, to get books out. But I know, because I've done one, that I'll keep doing one. Do you know what I mean? I'll get there because I've done it before and I can do it again. And that's what you've got to do. You've got to write down your own goals, ambitions, and dreams. And once you've done one, then you've achieved it. Then you can carry on doing others and more and more. It doesn't matter what people say. Even those closest to you might not even believe in you. Often it is those people closest to you, you've known a lot of your life, that don't believe in you because they see the old version of you, the version of you that didn't do this type of stuff, the version of you that's never done maybe this type of stuff before, and they don't get it. They're like, well, why would you do that? It's completely out of sync with what you've done in the past. Thanks for the thumbs up. So you've got to understand that you change, people change, and it's fine to change. It has to happen. You have to change at some point in your life. You either change will happen to you, or change can happen for you. So put yourself in a position where change is happening for you. So you write down your goals, ambitions, and dreams. Is it going to be easy to get them all the time? No. Is sometimes the road ahead going to be rocky? Yes. But you've got to accept that and understand that's going to be the case. There's going to be challenges, but that's what they are. They're challenges, which are obstacles you can gladly overcome. There's nothing in life you can't overcome, right? You're where you are today because you've overcome loads of obstacles in your life that you probably thought you could never overcome. But you're here, breathing and living now, so you can get through anything. Positive mindset is important, right? So, 10. Oh, yes, this is a really important one. 10. Say no to other people's agendas. Okay, so what do I mean by say no to other people's agendas? Again, this is the 10th way to self-love more. Okay, so say someone wanted you to do something, right? They asked you to do something, but it's really like gonna cause problems with what your own work you're doing. It's gonna cause problems with your time schedule, what you're up to, and it's really not going to benefit you in any way, shape, or form, particularly if it's not going to benefit you in any way, shape, or form. It's just someone asking out of the blue to do something for you, or to do something for them. Sorry, for them, not for you. For you to do something for them, and it's completely out of the blue, and it's encroaching on your time, maybe, and it's got no benefit to you, right? And especially if you don't know this person that well, right? And so, I had a situation recently, right, which was hard for me. There's a person whose book I'm in. It's a very, very popular book. I'm in with my own quote. That's my picture and a quote. And this guy is getting the book published by a traditional publishing company now. And it hopefully should be a bestseller in the New York Times, which means I'll be in the book, which means I'll be able to say I've been in the New York Times best-selling book, if it happens. And this person is an amazing author. I've been friends with them for a while now. They're a speaker, international speaker. Well, they're a speaker in the USA predominantly, I think, actually. But they're a public speaker. They do that for a living. And they're a very nice person. And they asked me to help them promote the book. Now, I've promoted the book before, but this particular time they want a re-promotion because they are literally got they're promoting under the new publishing company. Now I'm really busy this month, and they asked me if they could I could help them out with 6 weeks worth of promotion, which they said would probably take only 5 minutes. Now I know when I was promoting my own podcast for Asexuality on the Freestyle Live podcast, that took a whole week's worth of work. I expected it to just be like 2 days maximum. It's a whole 7 days. And that put me behind with my Asexual Guide to Sex book, put me behind with my Asexual Meetup Mastery course, it put me behind with my other work because I was just so busy constantly promoting that all the time. Now that has a direct benefit to me if people hear the podcast, obviously, because it's to do with asexuality, it's to do with my channel, right? And I want to help this person because they've got some alignment with me and my values and beliefs and living outside the box, being quirky and different. That it might be in the future, she will help me out in some way. Do you know what I mean? I've got a feeling. So I thought it's worth doing that because there is something in it for me. I mean, obviously you don't have to do everything, so there's something in it for you. But I'm just trying to give you an example of when I would maybe do someone else's agenda, because it was her agenda. Even though I'm talking about asexuality, it's still her podcast. She wants to get people into it, and she was selling courses off it, right? So she wants to get as much money as possible, right? Okay, so her agenda is more for her own than mine, but it was beneficial to me, right? But this particular book, it is still beneficial for me to promote it because I want it to be a bestseller, but it's just too much. I have got too much going on this month to be able to do that. Again, I've got to put my health first. If I start saying yes to promoting the book, I will not get my own things finished. Like I need to get the Asexual Meetup Mastery course finished because people are waiting for it. People are waiting for it. They need it, right? And the Asexual Guide to Sex have got people waiting for that already, And so these are very important. I don't think the Asexual Guide to Sex is going to be finished this month, but I think I'll get a bulk done this month and I'll know where I am more with the stories, which is what I need. I'll get quite a few of them finished, right? Which is where I need to be at, And, oh, excuse me. And so, I need to do the course and the book. I need to be doing it. This is my main focus for this month, right? And I just said to him, I don't think I can do it this month because I've just got too much on. And I know we say it's take 5 minutes, he wants me to blog about it. I don't spend 5 minutes writing a blog post usually. I spend like hours writing blog posts usually, which is why I haven't written any this month yet. Because I've got other stuff to be doing, I said maybe next month, nearer the time, I can pray it for you, but not now. And he's like, and he did try, the way he phrased stuff was try to persuade me in type, was kind of in a a little bit of a guilty way, I felt, maybe he didn't intentionally mean to do that, I don't know, but there's a sales tactic that you can kind of use to persuade people to do things that's kind of based on a little bit of guilt. But I don't feel guilty. But I mean, he was good in the end. He said it's okay, I've got other people that can promote it, because there's a lot of people in the book, which is fine, but that's doing another person's agenda, because although I'm in that book, he sprung it on me like, let's start now the next 6 weeks of promotion, and that's no good for me. If I'm ever promoting anything like that, I need to know well in advance, not just like springing it on me. We're going to start this week. Do you know what I mean? It's no good for me. And so, I had to basically say no to that. And there was a woman who wanted me to be in her book, right? And she's friends with me on Facebook, but I don't really know her. And she said about me being a book, and it'd be a great opportunity. But I've already written my stories in my own book, and I'm still writing stories in my own book, And I said no, because I've got too much of my other stuff to do. So especially when a stranger asks you, when this woman asked me off Facebook, I don't know very well, that's the time you usually need to say no, particularly because you don't know the person. You don't owe the person anything if it's not going to do you any favors. But I mean, obviously being her book might be doing me some favors. It might get links to my website, but I've got more important stuff to do with serving my people, right? Serving, helping people on here, helping people with my book, helping people with my cause. If I'm busy doing another person's agenda like that, I can't get my own work done. So what you shouldn't be doing is doing things for other people, the sabotage of your own work. So if it's sabotaging your own work, sabotaging your own schedule, sabotaging your own life, then don't do it. Say no to other people's agendas, because a lot of the time people are doing what's right for them, for their business, for their life, not for the greater good of your own, right? So this doesn't mean to say you have to say no to everything, but it means to say you have to say no, learn to say no to things, right? I've had quite a few people give me good business opportunities, and I'm like, no. And they're like, what? I was like, no. I had one guy friend me, and it's like, here's my group, because a lot of people friend me in business on Facebook, and here's my group. I'm in so many groups, I don't have time to be in anymore. Not unless I think it's very, very relative to what I need to do for my business or skills I need to learn. A lot of the time I just decline them, because there's no point. I mean, there's one person, a friend of me, invited me to her productivity group, how to be more productive. And I said, sorry, I'm not going to go in your group, because I'm in enough groups. I'm not going to be productive going in another group. That's going to be unproductive for me. Do you know what I mean? The whole point to be in a group is to learn how to be productive. One of the ways you be productive is by learning to say no to other people's agendas. So I said no to her, because I'm thinking I already know how to be productive, even though I could be more productive. I know what holds me back. I procrastinate too much sometimes, right? So I know my problems and issues. I have to work on them, right? And you're not productive when you're sitting in other people's groups learning how to be productive. Do you know what I mean? It's not good use of your time. And there was another guy as well, and he friended me and then asked me to be in his group, and I said I'm going to decline it, because I'm in too many groups. I can't be in them all, so it's not beneficial for me or him, because he wants active members in his group that he can get to sell his products and services to, and I'm not going to be active in there, so there's no point. So some people like that I just say no to. I was invited to a group the other day, and that was a group for people who are lonely and quite unhappy in their life. And I'm not lonely, and I'm not unhappy, and I'm not going to go in a group like that to be more miserable, because a lot of those type of groups are people complaining a lot of the time about how miserable their life is and how unhappy and lonely they are, which is not going to help you. You need to self-love if you're lonely, right? To listen to this video. And listen to it from the beginning if you have come in late to the conversation. So learn to say no to other people's agendas that don't serve you, don't help you, have got no value in your life whatsoever. That doesn't mean to say you don't help some friends out sometimes, but even friends you have to say no to if it's going to mean that you're putting your own work out, you're putting yourself behind, and it's not a good diversion for you. If it's going to take you like a week to do something, and you've got to have some of your own work done in 4 days' time, you're going to have to lightly say no, right? It's fine, and sometimes you can just say no to a variety of things as well. Like, you shouldn't be going around saying yes to some person asking you to go somewhere with them if you don't really want to go somewhere with them. So that's not to saying no to someone's agenda. That's just saying no, because no is a powerful word. So it's just like yeses, no's are a powerful word. It's like, for example, I've got an asexual friend, but they don't like eating at a Chinese restaurant, whereas my other best friend, Sam, does. and a lot of my other friends do, but this particular friend doesn't like eating in the Chinese, so he will come and see me later. Or like, we're going to meet up this Saturday, we're going to a pub, which he likes English food, so he's fine there. But he won't come to the Chinese, but he'll say no. He won't make up an excuse. He'll just say, no, I'm not really interested in that. It's like he's not really interested in going to theme parks either. So I'll probably be going to a theme park for my birthday this year. So, he's not going to be coming to that. But, it's about honesty and saying no to things that are not good for you. So whilst number 10 is like saying no to other people's agendas, it also filters through into saying no to things that aren't good for you, that you don't really want to do. Don't make up excuse. Don't lie and say you're sick. Just be honest and say, look, it's not for me. It takes great courage to do that. But part of loving yourself is having more courage in life. You have to have more courage to speak your truth, which is what I was saying earlier, even if people don't like it. That doesn't mean to say you have to be nasty and say, I'm not doing that, and get bolshy about it, or nasty or horrible. It means just like saying, it's thanks very much, but it's just really not my type of thing, So it's really important that you learn to say no. Not just say yes all the time. So I'm trying to read my own writing, which is quite funny. I know what number 11. What's number 11? I know what number 11 is. It's because I've scribbled down positive self-talk. So it kind of is very similar to praising yourself, but positive self-talk is consistent positive self-talk. So throughout the day, you want to be saying positive things about yourself. So again, this goes back into like if you're being critical, praising yourself, but also positive self-talk is gratitude as well. So saying things you're grateful for, like I'm grateful for the roof over my head, the food in my belly. I'm grateful for being able to breathe when people can't. I'm grateful for the clothes I wear. I'm grateful for the food I'm eating right now. I'm grateful for feeling good in this moment. I'm grateful for having good things. So this is positive self-talk. So in order to love yourself more, you should be giving yourself consistently positive self-talk. We criticize ourselves a lot without realizing that. I criticize myself too much, I think. And then I'm criticizing myself that I'm criticizing myself. So that's a good thing. So the way we counteract that is by positive talk. So the more we self-talk and we do it positively, the more it counteracts the negative, the more it stops us being so self-critical and leads us to a success, praise, positive mindset, And so it's really important that you do continue throughout your day saying positive stuff about your life, saying what you're grateful for in your life, saying what you're thankful for. It's very important when you wake up to say what you're grateful for, and just lie there thinking, oh wow, I've got shelter right now. It's really windy or stormy out there, and some people haven't got any shelter right now. And how lucky am I to have shelter? Just have a roof over my head. How lucky am I to, have a nice Disney throw? How lucky am I to just nice hair? Be able to have a nice shampoo for my hair. How lucky I am to just have a nice warm shower right now. So positive self-talk is something you should do consistently, ongoing, to help self-love, help love your life, because the more you love your life, the more you love yourself, really, because your life is kind of a reflection of you and what's going on with yourself and internal world, so how you're feeling as well. So when you're feeling better on the inside, it'll tend to reflect better on the outside, and that's a good thing. So but the love and the positivity should come from within yourself, and try and make sure you're implementing more and more and more. You saying positive self-talk things, and gratitude should come into that. And obviously, like I've said earlier about successes, write your successes down. Write 3 successes down that you've had each day in your diary. Journal, bust it out. 3 successes I had today. Or if you want to do it in the morning, say these are 3 things I want to be successful with today, and then tick them off as goals after you've achieved them. You can combine them if it helps. If there are 3 goals you want to achieve, and then you can tick them off as successes and look at them and put them as successes. Do you know what I mean? So all these things can work together. And number 12 is intuition. Intuition is something that's not that much talked about, but it's very, very super important. So the way you can love yourself more is to trust your own intuition. So let's get into this a bit more. So intuition is the feeling you have when something's not quite right, when something is a bit off, when someone's maybe not telling the whole truth, when things don't seem exactly how they appear. You have this feeling that they're not quite right from somewhere. So that's part of intuition. And you can also have intuition which guides you in your life. So, for example, you might have a mission. You don't really understand totally why you've got this mission, but you've been given it, right? You know that you've got to do something. So, for example, I know my mission is to get asexuality recognised as sexual orientation throughout the globe in its own right, so no asexual has to live in fear of ridicule ever again. That's my mission. I didn't know that was my mission until I found out, well, till after I found out I was asexual in 2014. I didn't even realise, really, till 2015 when I started the channel. I had no idea when I found out I was asexual that I'd be doing this channel or writing books for asexuals. I didn't have a clue. But it's intuition that kind of guided me here. There's certain things that happen in my life that even happen on a daily basis that guide me. So if I start freaking out sometimes, because I do still have anxiety, so sometimes I start freaking out and I'm like, oh my goodness me, like maybe my life's not completely exactly where I want it to be right now, and things aren't financially exactly where I want them to be, and career-wise and exactly where I want to be, and I get into a bit of a panic flapping mode. And then if I start to just like, make myself think more positively, put myself in a better mood by changing my state, and and then I just think, Sandra, just let your intuition guide you, because when I let my intuition guide me, it's always right. And I've in my life I've gone against my own intuition a lot, and whenever I do that, it's usually really bad for me, bad for my health, bad for my soul, bad for my being. It makes me distrust myself or not trust myself as much as I should, and it puts me on the wrong path usually. And but now it's like, even when I talk about being on the wrong path, my whole body starts feeling it. It feels resistance. It's like, what are you doing? Right? What are you doing? Do not go over there. This is the path you go on. So I have an intuition that I live by. I have an intuition that tells me what to do. I have this intuitive part of my being and soul that knows what to do, even though it seems balmy at times. And that's all about trusting yourself and having self-love, and trusting that you know best, that your inner being knows best, that it will find the way, And if you want to look for evidence of you being correct, you just have to look back at your life for the things you have achieved so far that you wanted to achieve. Obviously, if you haven't achieved that much you want to achieve, that's because you haven't been setting goals, because you're too scared to, and you need to start setting them and trusting yourself, and working towards those goals, right? So you have to develop the self-confidence, self-love, self-worth, and self-appreciation and self-trust. But I have a huge intuition that guides me. And it guides me in crazy ways sometimes, crazy ways that's a bit scary sometimes. But if I trust it, it always works out in the end. And it always works out for the best. Even if things go bad at a certain time, eventually it goes right. It still works out. Because a lot of the time, even in our life, things can go wrong or go bad or not be good, and it can be upsetting sometimes, but they'll always end up working out. It just happens, because with the smooth comes the rough. You have to accept that where there's light, there's dark, right? And so it can be hard. But I know when I trust my intuition, 100% it's right every time. And when I go against it, it's bad for me. My own body goes against myself when I go against my intuition. And my intuition is leading me to different paths even now. Even this year, I'm starting new businesses, and it's like kind of crazy for me. It's like my intuition tells me, despite the fact I'm asexual, that I need to do my erogenicity brand, which I thought of last year and bought the domain name for, right? That's very far removed from asexuality in lots of respects. It's kind of like a bit like the opposite in some ways. And that scares me. But my intuition tells me I must do that. My intuition tells me I can help a lot of people because I'm very passionate without sex. And that's a very big skill that a lot of people need to learn, that they don't understand what to do. A lot of people that are sexuals, for example, they're very focused on the sexual intercourse. They're not focused on other stuff. And that's why a lot of their relationships lack in passion. That's why a lot of them as well probably stray, because they're looking for variety and passion, which they could have within their own relationship if they bothered to get their backside in gear and actually learn some skills, you know. And so I'm very good at erogenous zones without intercourse, but obviously, you know, a lot of sexuals will be interested in that type of course and thing, that brand, because most people have erogenous stuff leading on to sexual intercourse, but you don't have to, which is the whole point. I mean, for me, I don't do that. I like the erogenous zones with that, you know, the non-genital ones, particularly, not genital ones these days, you know. But obviously, some people like the genital ones, the ones that are sexual. So that's kind of like a bit removed from asexuality. But you know, I'm good at talking about dating and relationships. I'm good at talking about kissing. I'm good at kissing. I'm good at certain things that sexuals will still find interesting, useful, and helpful in their life. And you know, my intuition tells me I need to do that brand more and more. It's telling me that I need to do it, because it's telling me that it's just kind of like it's kind of like an offshoot of this channel. It's not, you know, more on the grey asexual spectrum, really, of asexuality. Because some people who are grey asexual, they still like doing certain things. They still like passion without the sex, some of them. And that's kind of where I'm at. And I'm very good at that. But obviously, you know, a lot of the people that go for the erogenicity brand, they'll be more sexuals, you know. So I have to accept that and be as comfortable as possible with it, whilst making sure it's educational and they know that, you know. So it is out of my comfort zone, but I'm getting more and more comfortable with that as time goes on, because I'm feeling more like I'm understanding my more grey parts of my asexual areas, and I'm feeling like I'm exploring them more. And I feel like, you know, that's a brand that I just kind of feel more comfortable about day by day, and that it's the right thing for me to do. And because I think it will come quite naturally to me, despite the fact I'm asexual, because I've been in heterosexual relationships for half of my life. And I think that everything that happens in your life happens for a reason. Everything that happens in your life happens for a reason, good or bad. So being in heterosexual relationships as an asexual person who didn't realise it, wasn't necessarily good for me all the time. So it's quite weird and difficult. Other times it's just boring. But the experience I had with my last long-term ex, that was very valuable experience, despite the fact I would rather have not had sex. It's very valuable to help other people. If I hadn't had that experience, I wouldn't be able to do what I do so much. So, and see lots of different angles. So yeah, so that's something I'm getting more and more comfortable with, that I'm feeling like I'd probably be really good at that, even though it's way out of my comfort zone in some respects. But my intuition tells me I need to do that. My intuition is telling me more and more that I'm going more towards that. And so, you know, you have to be guided by your intuition in life, and you have to trust the process that you're going to be right, and that even if you're wrong, you'll be right. So what do I mean? Even if you're wrong, you'll be right. Because what happens in your life is, even if you take the path that seems wrong, it will still be right, because it will put you on the right path later on. It'll be like, so for example, I've been in a heterosexual relationship for half my life, right? It wasn't the healthiest relationships. In fact, they were very abusive a lot of the time, right? And not sexually, well, I have had sexual abuse, but predominantly my relationships haven't been. But yeah, I have had sexual abuse on more than one occasion. So I can't completely say that. But do you know what I mean? But the abuse was not really focused on that overall. And my last long-term ex wasn't abusive sexually, just in other ways. So you know, if I hadn't had those experiences though, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. Do you know what I mean? And so even if you take a path that might seem wrong and a mistake, and why the heck are you here, it will usually lead you to a good and better path, and the right path for you to be on the future. It's like preparing you for something. So even if something seems really confusing in the moment and really worrying, and you don't know what to do about it, and you're kind of panicking, you don't know how to get out of it, eventually it will sort itself out and you will be okay. And you have to kind of trust the process and trust yourself that, you know, things wouldn't come to you unless you could handle them. You can handle anything life throws at you. And it's very important self-love message is to literally tell yourself the affirmation that I can deal with anything that comes my way in life. Anything. I can deal with anything that comes my way in life. Anything. And it really helps. So I'm guided more and more by my intuition, more and more by what I feel is right, rather than what I currently know is my current circumstances. And that's what you have to do. You have to think outside the box. You have to think your current circumstances do not dictate your future. Where you are now in your life completely can completely change. You could be in a different country next year or next month. You could be in a completely different job. You could be in a different relationship. You could have a different friendship. Anything could happen, right? In any given moment, anything can change in a heartbeat, right? Good or bad. So if you tap into intuition, it will start telling you. Like, I knew from 2009 I had to do writing, but that was my life purpose. I know even now it's my life purpose. I know really books is all I want to do, writing, but I know I've got to do more stuff than just writing books. But that is my end goal. I just like to sit and write books all day, every day, really. That makes me the happiest. I feel at one with my soul. I'm the happiest when I'm doing that. But I'm getting very good at doing course creation now. I'm getting very good at doing video editing. I'm getting, and I need to be doing more courses this year for other people, like the Erogenicity brand and another brand I've got coming out. So, by doing the courses I'm doing for the Asexual Meet and Mastery, which has taken me far longer than I'd hoped, because I've been doing it since September 2019, it's very much preparing me for all the other courses I'm going to be doing in my life, because I'm getting better and better at it. I'm getting faster, I'm getting more precise, I'm getting more the order right, I'm getting more confident in what I'm doing. I'm getting the information correct, honed down. I've had a lot of practice now, so I'm getting better and better. It's not my favorite thing to do, video editing, but I'm good at it. It's just quite monotonous sometimes when you're just trying to, like, for example, like 1 6-minute piece of video footage I chopped into 32 pieces the other week. You know what I mean? That's a lot of editing. 1 6 minutes, like 32 pieces chopped out, 32 edits. It takes a long time to do these things. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not easy, but I feel that the more you do things and you push yourself to do things and things out of your comfort zone, the more you get good at doing stuff, the more you get more confident and competent in it. So practice makes perfect, doesn't it? So even if it's out of your comfort zone, it's good to practice and good to do things and try different things, because some things might work for some people and they don't work for others, and that's the same for you. And I just think there's no, like, I always think of challenges now. I always see obstacles as not obstacles, but challenges that can be overcome. And I think that's a really important message to tell yourself, this is a challenge that I can easily overcome. Maybe it's not going to be easy, but tell yourself it's going to be easy, right? It's a challenge that you can overcome. And there are no such thing as failures, just lessons you learn from, just life lessons. So it doesn't matter what you do, you can't fail, right? There's no such thing really as mistakes, because everything happens for a reason. And if you do something that might not seem right at the time, it'll work itself out in the end. So it'll mean it was the right thing for you to do. So, life has lots of twists and turns, and I wouldn't even imagine back in 2014 I'd be doing this channel, and particularly not like live streaming every night. I don't know how I do it sometimes. I'm like, how the heck do you keep that up, Sandra? I look in awe at myself. I'm like, how do you do it? I don't know how you do it. Do you know what I mean? And that's because I live my intuition. I talk very much. I've looked at some notes tonight, brief notes that I made, but I do a lot of it like just from my mind, just trusting myself, just trusting that I'll do a good show, just trusting that I'll be fine, because I love talking. I like people. I like helping people. And I just believe intuitively it's the right thing for me to do, for me to be on this channel each night. It feels like home. It feels important to me and something I must do. It's a mission I must do. It's just something I've got to do. And it's all about my asexual life in order to help others in their own asexual life. And it's very important I do this channel. And I just love live streaming. I've got used to it. I've got into the habit of doing it now, which you can get into. Once you can get into good habits, you're away. It's my other channel. I do another channel. I don't hardly go on there very much because I'm so dedicated to this channel. This is my channel that I just want to keep growing. Despite the fact it grows a bit slowly sometimes, it's still growing, and I'm still thinking it will be growing more and more and more the more people know about it. Well, you are certainly doing a good job of it. Oh, thank you, Sam. I appreciate it. It's a lot of hours I put in, like 7 to 14 hours a week. I do live streaming for now, so that is quite a lot of time. But I've just got so used to doing it. Like sometimes even like if I don't trust my intuition, like sometimes I'll start thinking, what am I going to talk about tonight? And I'm thinking, don't ask yourself that question, Sandra. Just trust that you'll find something to talk about. It will be fine. Something will come to you. Something will happen. Don't worry about it. Just trust it. And it just does. So it just comes to me. I'm like, okay, that's fine. But when I worry about it, it doesn't work as well. So it's best just to trust yourself. And that is part of self-love. You know, the most important thing is you trust yourself. You trust yourself. So self-love is about trusting yourself and trusting you'll make the right decision, and trusting that even if you seem to make the wrong decision, that everything will turn out right in the end. And there's a reason that you made the decision, even if it seems wrong once you've done it, there's going to be a reason why that happened. You know, like for example, right? You can be somewhere at a specific time that you didn't really think you were going to be, but you decide I'll just go there randomly, and then you end up meeting someone. So, you know, there was a friend who, for example, told me that they were going to do something, right? But instead of doing the thing that they were going to do, they decided to do something else for a reason, right? I'm not going to go into it because it's a private conversation. But because they went and did something else that they weren't going to do, they ended up helping someone who'd fallen over and fallen over in the street. And if they hadn't have chosen to do something different than what they were originally going to do, for whatever reason they had, they wouldn't have been able to help this person who'd fallen over, right? They happened to be there at the right time. So sometimes when you think something isn't right, like you take a different path, like, oh, I wanted to do this, but now I'm doing this for some reason, and you might think it's not for the great reason, you've changed your mind, it works out well in the end because you happen to be exactly where you want to be. I mean, what's the odds of that person changing their mind like that and going to be there? I was in a situation before Christmas, and I was in the post office, and I just decided to go there at that time in the post office. And this guy behind me, who was in the queue, this elderly gentleman, said, do you know such and such a place? And I thought it was a bit weird at first. I'm like, no, I don't know where that is. And I was a little bit off, I think, in my tone of voice. But I try not to be. I thought, why is this person asking that? And because I didn't know them, right? They didn't say I was off. I just felt like I was a little bit off. Well, I know my mind was off. I think I wasn't so bad when I spoke to them. My mind was like saying, this is weird. This person's weird. And then when I listened to them and slowed down and listened to them, they said, they were telling me, and then I took the information in, that they were lost, that was their home. And I'm like, because I then said, oh, you lost? And they're like, yes, I've lost. I'm I'm new to the area and I'm lost. I don't know where my home is. I need to get back there because my wife, I've got the keys to our house, and my wife be worried where I am. So I had to get the gentleman to come with me. I was in the post office, so I had to get this. I thought I'd get the item weighed, and I asked the post office guy where this place is, because I don't know, despite the fact I don't live far from the post office, I don't actually know further up that area very well because it's not somewhere I usually go. So he was trying to give directions, and then thankfully I got my Google Maps working on my phone. So instead of going back home and then phoning the customer with the item I had, because I had to get postage for a customer because I was posting something to them, instead of going there straight away, I went and took the man home and using Google Maps. And he was like, oh, you can leave me here if you want. I'm like, no, I'm taking you fully back to your home. So I took him back to his home, and his wife was sitting outside for him on a mobility scooter, I think it was. And she was really worried about him. She was so thankful I brought him back, because he said he'll be in trouble with his wife. And she said, yeah, I had my son-in-law going to look for him to try and find him. So she got her husband back. But if I hadn't been in the post office at that specific time and been the one in front of him, he might not have got back very quickly, because the post office is really busy. The people behind the counter haven't really got time to go. It was like the weekend before Christmas, right? People haven't got time to go and, go out of their way to go and take an old man back to where it is. But the guy did say in the post office, yeah, he's only been here about a week, because I recognise you, he said, from when he came in before. He goes, yeah, they said they've only been there a week. So I knew that the old guy was, obviously telling the truth, and that he, it's understandable, because my city's a bit like a maze with where the specific area you lived in of it. And if you don't know it, if you just moved to, you're an elderly person who's only been there a week. He said, I know how to get out of my home, but I don't know how to get back to it. So and he, his wife had gone on off somewhere else, so he wasn't with her anymore. So yeah, so if I hadn't been there at a specific time and the person in front of me, he probably wouldn't have got back very easily to his home, if at all, very quickly. You know what I mean? So I'm really glad that I was there at that time. So even though, it's kind of like I had loads of other things to do in the post office, I was going out my way for a customer. And do you know what I mean? I wanted something, to get a price on something, but I don't think the person ended up buying the item in the place. If I remember right, because I've still got an item that's packaged up. I was getting a price somewhere. I think it might be the item that I didn't actually get sold in the end. But if I hadn't have been in that place at that time, then that old man wouldn't have got home probably, or not for a long time. So everything happens for a reason, even when things are not going quite as they seem, or when you're taking a detour from your life in the present moment. You might be thinking, why am I doing this? But it happens for a reason. You're meant to be somewhere else. And it's intuitive. It's your life that's being led by energy and intuition and the universe and the powers beyond us, that you've just got to trust sometimes that you end up being in the right place at the right time for someone else, not just yourself sometimes, and that's very, very important. And so the more you trust your intuition, the more you self-love, the more you are in tune with your spirit and soul, and the more that you can live your own truth and live your own life, and maybe you will end up being in a different position to what you were years ago. Maybe some people say, well, you've changed, but it's kind of like, yeah, I have changed and you've just stayed the same. Change is progress, right? So, just because you've changed and people say, oh, you've changed, doesn't mean to say it's a bad thing. It'd be like, yeah, I have changed and I'm glad I've changed. Sometimes change is a very good thing. And I always think it's better to be in control of your change than have change happen to you. Make change happen for you. The more you make change happen for you, the more stability you'll have in your life, and the more you'll feel better about your life and feel good. Even when there's chaos, you'll feel better in the chaos if you can take as much charge of your own life as possible and realize you're responsible for your own happiness. You're responsible for your own love in your life. You're responsible for how you're feeling as much as possible. I know that's not always easy. I know people can come into our life and throw us in a wobbly. I know situations can happen that throw us off the beaten path. It does happen, and sometimes you need extra support in those times. We're not infallible. We're human beings and a human experience. So this means sometimes we'll have rocky moments, and sometimes we might need extra support. Sometimes we might have the rug pulled from underneath our feet, and and we just need extra help. Maybe our friends around us a bit more, maybe our family around us a bit more, and that happens. But part of self-love is recognizing that and saying, I'm not perfect. Sometimes life isn't perfect. Sometimes things come and just shock me, even though I'm quite stable in life. Sometimes things shock me, and sometimes I need to recalibrate myself, and I need to, just share with friends and just see. It's pouring down with rain now outside. You hear the rain, can't you? From my window that's open a bit. But yes, it's raining. It's not raining men. It's raining rain. It's raining self-love. Oh, listen to the self-love pour. It's great. And so, yeah, it's really important that you do trust your intuition and trust yourself and trust your own judgment. Sometimes there might be people that are saying this person's absolutely awesome. They're absolutely fantastic. I love this person. They're great. And you can see the truth that they can't see. You can feel it. You can sense it. You can see it. You can see the person what they are. There are some people in the world that do put on a different front to different people. You could argue they're two-faced in a way, or you could just say that they're not living their full or true authentic self for whatever reason, right? And you can be around these people and you can just know that they're not telling you the truth. You can just know that they're not being true to who they are, and they might show you their side. They might show you the real side that isn't so nice, but other people they don't show that to. But you've just got to understand and trust and love yourself that you've seen the truth, even if they try and grey it out. You know the truth. Don't let them persuade you otherwise and make out they're better than they are. And if they have the wool pulled over other people's eyes, then you just have to let it be that way for however long until people realize the truth, if they ever do, about that person. You could say, oh, I can see the truth them. This is what they're like, but it's up to them when they choose to see it. A lot of people don't choose to see things that's right in front of them because it's too complicated or too threatening to their peaceful existence, as it were. So, always trust your intuition and go with it as much as you possibly can, even if it seems balmy, even if you've got this really weird, crazy idea. The weird, crazy ideas are the good ones. Because most people don't go for the weird, crazy ideas, and you should go for the weird, crazy ideas because it's your weird, crazy idea for a reason. Sometimes I'll wake up in the morning and I'll literally be like, start writing. I'll just write a crazy idea I've got down for another thing. But I have to be careful not to overdo it and stick to what I've got. So this year I've got X amount of projects that I have to finish, and I just have to do the ones I'm on rather than going off on tangents to other ones. Like books, I just keep thinking more and more books I can write for asexuals, and just more and more books in general. I'm just like, but that's because I'm really born to be a writer. That's my hugest passion. That's what I'm meant to be doing. But at the moment, I'm diverting off. But I have to divert off. My intuition's telling me I need to divert off, right? But it also tells me that really you're meant to be just writing books because that's going to just make you so happy in life and help so many people. But I think I've not fully found out every single type of book I'm meant to write yet. So I think that's a journey of discovery that my intuition will lead me to. What books are the most popular? Obviously, asexual books are. But, I've got other books in me. And my fibromyalgia self-help handbook I got out last year, it had to be done, because I can help a lot of people with that. So it's really important that you trust your intuition, trust your guidance, even if people think you're absolutely crazy and barking mad, and they don't understand you. People who are your true friends will support you, they'll believe in your vision because you believe in it. They will support you. People, even if people can't see what you see, they'll support you in it. It's important to get a support network if you can. You should always love yourself first and foremost, not need other people. But obviously, if you've got people who are supporting you and cheering you on, that it is a good thing to have that as well, And self-love doesn't mean to say you can't give love to other people. Self-love means that you love yourself first, then you can give love to other people. Because only when your own cup is full, only when you've got love within you, can you then give to other people. People who don't love themselves, they'll be saying things like, I hate myself. I hate the way I look. I hate my life. I'm miserable. Don't be near me. And they're kind of warning the other people off themselves. They're self-sabotaging. I used to be more of one of these people. I used to be a person that's very depressed. And I guess I used to keep people away from me more by being so down on myself because I had barely any self-esteem, probably didn't really value my worth because I didn't think I had any worth, and I was a very negative person, and that didn't really help me because when you're negative, you get off negative vibes. It's not a very attractive feature and quality to have. It's very difficult when you've got depression. It's very difficult to be positive when you're really in a bad depression, but it's like self-sabotage. It's like you're telling people, stay away. I'm no good. I'm bad. I'm horrible. I'm not worth you caring about. So don't care about me. It's very self-sabotaging, but you don't realize at the time. You think it's the opposite. You kind of think in your head, I'll push people away because really I want people, but you're sabotaging yourself for that, realizing it. You kind of want what you're not telling people you want. Whereas if you self-love yourself, you start saying, you're smart, you're intelligent, you're stylish, you got skills, you're recognizing your qualities. And when people are around you, they'll be more drawn to you because they'll be like, oh, this person values themselves. They find themselves interesting. So I'm interested in them now. You know what I mean? Because I find myself fascinating. I do. I think I'm a bit bonkers sometimes in a great way, and I'm quirky and I'm different. I'm off my head sometimes, not in drugs because I never take drugs, off my head on life and being completely far out. But I like that about myself, it's different. No 2 days are the same and no 2 days are boring. You must know that my life's never 2 days are ever the same with Sandra because I'm on this channel all the time telling you this is what's happened today. It's like I don't even know how all this stuff happens. It just happens. It's like I have an ongoing drama, but in a more controlled manner, I think. Because the thing is, I'm centered. The thing is with me, I'm centered now, which means, I am centered on my own self-love. So even when guys, like I had 2 guys recently, I had a few guys recently, interested in me. And it's like, I had a British asexual guy going, I want to take you on a date, right? First British asexual guy that's actually asked me out on a date. Didn't happen, right? Didn't even Skype with me, didn't even message me after that, didn't even speak to me. So I just messaged him several days later, 4 or 5 days later, saying, I haven't heard from you. So this is no good. You're not the type of person I'm looking for, but I wish you luck anyway. And then there was the Indian asexual guy that's not in the UK. He was saying how much he liked me and really interested in a serious relationship. And then of course, when I caught him out about the Facebook thing, when he wouldn't connect with me on Facebook, something's dodgy there. And of course, he's not spoke to me since, right? Which I expected, because I don't look at people rejecting me now as a bad thing. I look at it as a good thing. That it's great if those people have got their own problems and issues going on. They're not for me. I don't want to be bombarded with people with problems and issues which will affect their potential relationship going forward. If they're not going to be good for me now and they don't know what they want and they're messing me around, what they're going to be like years down the line? They've done me a favour. They've got their own issues going on. Doesn't mean to say they're a bad person. Just means to say they're not right for me, and specifically not in this moment. Do you know what I mean? They might be right for someone else, but they got their own things going on. So you have to look at things like that as these people have got their own problems. There's nothing wrong with me. I love myself. So, you know, I just expect these things to happen sometimes, because I know I've got too much experience not to know what's going to happen next usually. And so when they don't speak to me anymore, I'm just used to it. It doesn't bother me, because it's like, I'm kind of right. It's like, I intuitively knew that was going to happen before it even happens. And people like put themselves out of the equation then, you know, they're not going to be a partner to me if they, even at all. If they just shut themselves out of the equation, that's good, because you're getting, you know, these opportunities open for the right person to come into your life. But because I'm from a self-love place now, I don't worry about people like that, you know, that don't speak to me. I just find it like another one, you know, here we go again. I'm just so used to it now. I see the signs, which is why I particularly cut to the chase with the Indian guy about actually Facebook chatting, you know, why I cut to the chase. Because I know that a person who's not being genuine, they wouldn't want to do that. So I just cut to chase and don't waste my time anymore, you know. And but that doesn't mean to say I have all the answers, you know. It doesn't mean to say I do. Like the guy, the Bangladeshi guy who I keep going back to, who's in the club, you know, I don't know what to do with him. I don't know what to do about him, because he'd lied to me. He's not a good guy in that way, but I'm going to keep seeing him in the club. And I love kissing. It's like, do I kiss him or not? You know, he's a liar, so why should I kiss him? But I love kissing at the same time, and he can fulfill that need. So it's kind of like a hard one, you know. And I have to look at my own self-love. I have to look at myself. Well, am I self-loving, you know, to like, you know, like not take second best from him? Or am I self-loving in the sense that I have kissing needs that I might want to utilize with him in the club, because I love kissing and I might want to not repress that. So it's kind of like I'm still figuring that one out, you know, which one's the best self-love strategy. One is like, I mean, obviously if I'm kissing in the club, it doesn't mean to say I have to see him outside of the club. If I allow him to do that, but that's at my own discretion, you know. But I know I get attached to some guys quite easily, so I've got to be careful of that, you know. And you've got to love yourself enough to walk away, which I did do. Obviously, I blocked him on Facebook and phone. He's still blocked on my phone. So, you know, I have walked away already from him once. You know, I can do it again. But it's just like, you know, I'm still, that thing's not resolved to me. It's not clear cut for me, because I've got kissing needs. I like to be met, and I kind of like feel I need to get them out more and not repress them as much as I feel like I've been repressing them more, because I feel like obviously with asexual guys, I haven't met the right asexual guy yet, and it's been like I've been on dating sites now for 6 years, and it's kind of like I want my kissing time now. So I've waited long enough. There's no point in keep waiting for the right guy to show up and like repressing my kissing needs. And I have quite a lot of sensual, like asexy kissing needs sometimes, and I feel like I need to get that out a bit this year. I don't know why. I just feel that way, you know. And so it's a hard one for me. It's a 50-50. It's 50-50. Like you shouldn't, you know, you should respect yourself enough to walk away from people who are liars and bad for you, right? Which is a huge point of self-love. But you also have to love yourself and not to repress your true self as well. So it's kind of like, but hopefully there'll be some other guys I can kiss, not just him. I'm just particularly attracted to him for some magnetic chemical equation reason, which drives me up the wall currently. So it's like chemicals, so they are, you know, they're for a lot of reasons aren't great. But we have to just think that everything will work out for the best, whatever happens, whether I decide to never kiss him again or I let him kiss me again. Everything will work out for the best, one way or the other. One way or the other. If I kiss him again, I will get something out of that situation, whether that's information about myself, about him, or just in the moment, or not be repressed anymore in that way, And if I don't let him kiss me, it will be a case of like more boundaries are held in that way. But I mean, I didn't let him kiss me last time, so I held the boundary there. So, I think everything that happens in your life happens for a reason. It's lessons you can learn. But sometimes we don't actually know the lesson until we're in that situation. And so sometimes we have to let the situation run its course, but err with caution. But I think the intuition's the most important thing. So, for example, the Bangladeshi guy, at the moment, I feel danger about seeing him outside of the club. I don't feel that bad seeing in the club, but outside I feel danger. So that to me is my intuition telling me you shouldn't, certainly not at the moment, see him outside the club because it doesn't feel right. It feels like there's a danger to that. Whereas it feels like in the club, it's, if anything was to happen again, I was to let him kiss me, then it's like the security guards there. It's a safe environment. You can just do that and leave and don't owe him anything. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like weird situation for me to be in. I can't quite work it out. I'm having problems with it, which is why it plays on my mind sometimes. I like him more than I should do, admittedly. But I always see the good in people, which is annoying sometimes. It's sometimes really, really annoying. But then everything happens for a reason. I always say that. So, I always see good in people. I always see a heart there. Even if it's not actually that apparent, I always feel the person's heart a bit. It's weird. I think it's because I mean, I just have so much experience in my life. I think I can see things that in terms of see things, bad things, I can also see things that are good which aren't apparent as well. So I just think you have to just trust your intuition in life, and you have to trust yourself and trust that whatever decision you make will be the right one and that moment, that you'll do the best you can do, and stay as safe as possible, and don't beat yourself up if you do the wrong thing or think you've done the wrong thing, because it won't be totally the wrong thing. Something good will come of it. Something will work out, even if it's in the future, even if you use it as an experience to put in a book or in a video YouTube channel video to help other people. Everything will work out. It all will be good. So to just live your life to the max as well, and live your life how you want to live it. So part of self-love is living your life how you want to live it. So I live a very, very teenager lifestyle, clearly, with my Disney throw and my Mickey Mouse pillow, which is a cuddly toy at the same time, and my water bottles and pictures, and I just live a very teenager lifestyle. I'm usually up till the early hours a lot of the time in the morning. I like my life kind of being upside down in that way. I don't like it being normal. I find normal boring. So that's me. A lot of people wouldn't like that lifestyle. A lot of people would find it weird, but I love it. So it's really important to live your life for you. And age is literally just a number. Don't let anyone tell you, oh, you're this age now, so you act this way. That's their projection onto you. So part of self-love is not accepting other people's projections. So when someone's projecting something on you, it's usually because their life is not going as well as they'd like, they're feeling bad, or they can't get out of their comfort zone, right? I specifically on purpose live like a teenager. I specifically have the mindset of a 21-year-old. I've trained my brain that way. I've trained myself that way. And I am high octane energy for being that life. I don't want a life where I go to bed at 10:30 every night. I'm not saying I never go to bed ever at that time. Occasionally it happens, right? But I don't want to go, I don't want to be a person that goes to bed at 10:30. Like, it's just not who I am. That reminds me of an old woman. I don't want to be like an old woman, so I don't do that. I purposely don't do that. And it doesn't fit with my lifestyle or my mindset either. So never, ever let other people tell you how to live your life. Always live it for you, even if it's got weird quirks, even if it's backwards life, even if it's very different to what other people do. Like, I don't watch TV. So I don't watch TV. It's I've got no time for television. I don't want to watch television. There's no point. It's a waste of space. I don't like sex, don't like nudity. Don't not interested in boobs and dicks. All that's disgusting to me. And so, that's what a lot of it is on TV, and there's lots of murder, death, rape, and all that rubbish. So I don't want to fulfill, I don't want to fill my mind with all that rubbish stuff, I want to get rid of that rubbish stuff. and block it out of my life, for my own good. I don't have to live a life just that other people expect me to live. And so it's very important that you live your own life, for you. And if there's certain things you don't like in your life, or certain things that are bad for your mind, get rid of them. You don't have to put up with it just because society's conditioned you to think, oh, you got to watch TV all the time. Of course you don't have to watch TV all the time. You're not missing out. People are like, oh, I can't watch TV. I'm missing out on the news. The news is full of rape, death, murder, destruction, violence, hatred, and all that rubbish. Don't bother, just cut it out of your life. You can have a much more positive, happier, vibrant, energetic life. Focus on self-love. Focus on art. If you like art, focus on crafts. Focus on your hobbies. Focus on your interests. Focus on your passion. Focus on living in the moment with you. Focus on loving you. Focus on being happy with you. Focus on your favorite music, your favorite books, your favorite movies, your favorite being with yourself. It's so important you just spend time with reflecting on your own life as well. Reflecting on how things are going in your life, with your relationships, with your family, your friends, your career, your hobbies. You might want to write it down, how things are going, so that you can self-improve, so that you can, grow yourself as a person. Because when you grow yourself as a person, that's part of self-love as well. Self-development, personal development, self-growth is part of self-love, because you're improving yourself. You're wanting to get better. You're wanting to acquire knowledge. You're not staying stagnant. You're not going to get bored with yourself or your life as much, because you're going to be moving along. You're going to be chugging along like a train rather than flatlining, you're going to be moving, and you have energy, emotion, and you're going to create things in your life, and you're going to have a much more fulfilling, energetic, happier life, So get your butt moving, write down your goals, ambitions, and dreams, and start working on them. Instead of having New Year's resolutions, make sure you have goals and work to them, each day, even if it's a little bit each day, Like I said, I've been working on my asexual meetup mastery course now since September last year. I've had to digress. I was very ill, obviously, with a respiratory infection. I have to have time out, just had to have time out and not do any work during that time, And there's things that crop up. Like I said, I was on the podcast that was literally advertising for a week, so that took another week out. So there's certain things that do happen in your life that you don't really expect, and things crop up, but you will deal with them. You will get through with them. You still should set goals, and just keep striving to get them. I know I'll be finished doing the asexual me and master course. I know I will, because I've got some more videos I need to do, but I know I'll be done. I should be finished this month. It should be out, so that'll be really, really good. It's just that I have to finish the process, and once you've finished a big process like that, you can feel good about yourself, feel better that you achieved it, and that you've done something that most people can't do. Most people can't do a full-on masterclass course like this. It's a mastery course. It's asexual meetup mastery course. It's not just some put together course that's taken me 5 minutes. It's a look over the shoulder, everything I'm doing to get people into my asexual meetups, like the 5 different platforms I use to get people into my meetups. It's like all the hard work I put in. It's not easy for my meetups, because I don't live in a big city where everyone's bound to come automatically. I live in a city, but not one where people are bound to come. So I have to put in a lot of hard work, effort, time, and energy. And literally, it's an over-the-shoulder walkthrough of everything I do. The things I say, so the scripts I use, how I approach people on different platforms, the content of what I say, how I organize things, how I make arrangements on the phone for things, different ideas for meetups. There's lots of different ideas in there. How to say things to encourage attendance, what to say, mistakes to avoid, which is so important. The finer details of the platform about messaging people, and the rules, kind of like the etiquette that you need to abide by on each platform. And it's just like, there's just a lot to it, a lot to it. And so there is nothing like this on the market. There might be other stuff about meetups, it'll just be general chit chat. So I did that. I've done an asexual meetup speech. I did it at the UK Asexual conference, which I'm giving as a bonus to the course, which there'll be notes. There was no notes given out at the conference that I was speaking at. There's no notes, and it is on my channel, the talk. That's more for beginners. That's like the beginners, which is always recommended to watch that before the mastery course, but it'll be in the bonus so people can actually watch it if they've never watched it. But I'll be giving my notes away as well, which I never gave away at the conference. So you'll have some like PowerPoint notes that go with it as a bonus for the course, which has never been seen before in the hands of people. So it was like my slides that were on the screen at the time. So, you know, it's really important that, you know, that I finish this. And the more that you do stuff, even if it's a huge task and you have to break it down to smaller goals, like today you'll work on X amount of videos, today you'll work on this particular section of the course. You know, once you've got through and done all that, you'll have all that experience, all that knowledge, all that time that you spent doing, you'll have all that as skills, do you know what I mean, that you wouldn't have had before. So even if it's time consuming, you know, you've learned something, you've achieved it. Once you achieve something like that, this helps improve your self-love, helps improve your self-worth, because you see that you've got really good qualities and skills. Like, to do video editing is a huge skill. I'm very good at it nowadays. One of my entrepreneur friends who watches this channel, actually, she saw one of my videos from this channel, which is she watches my live streams as well, but it was a specific video with music behind it. It was like all about it was like one of my channel trailers from a while ago. So it was a very special put together one with different footage, video footage, photographs, and all about my book. And it was a channel trailer, one of my previous channel trailers. And she saw it on my Asexualized site. It's actually on my Asexualized with Z site, because I own the Z site as well. And she saw it on there and she said, "Who's done that? It's absolutely amazing." Basically, that's what she said. And I couldn't find it. It's not on desktop. It's not on it's on desktop. It's not on laptop or mobile. So I was like, which video is that? I've forgotten which one it was that I put up there, because I was on my mobile at the time and tablet. And then I went to my desktop. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like, I did that. You know, and I think at first she didn't even know that I would have done that, because it's very high quality, you know. So I'm good at doing, you know, I've learned a skill that originally took me 6 months to learn. So once you start doing these goals, ambitions, and dreams, and you start knocking these goals off and you start doing them, even if it takes a long time, so long as you keep following through, eventually you close it. You know, I've got several projects. Well, I've got one, you know, I've got ones that are open, they're ongoing, and there kind of can be a frustration in that, you know, that, oh, I haven't got it finished yet, you know, still got this stuff to do. But so long as you finish at the end and you know, you can trust yourself that you're going to get things done. There's many people in the world that start things that never actually finish them. I know that I start things and I usually finish them, right? Obviously, if there's something you started that's really no good anymore for whatever reason, it's going to hinder you. It's going to make, you know, you might have started something, you realize it's no good. There's something that's better that's come along that really is better opportunity, and you might have to leave the other thing, right? Or stop it, or temporarily stop it, or just realize it's completely the wrong path for you, and that's okay to turn away or to do something different. But you should be, in the main, following up things, following through and finishing it off, rather than looking at new shiny objects all the time, because then you'll trust yourself more. It's a process of doing what you say, doing what you write down, going along and doing it, and finishing it, because you'll trust yourself more, you'll trust your intuition more, you'll trust your processes more, you'll trust yourself more. And the more you trust yourself, the more you'll love yourself, the more you'll believe in yourself, the more you'll want yourself to do well, and you'll be your own cheerleader in life, which is what's really important. To self-love, you need to be your own cheerleader in your life. You need to be cheering yourself on. And I do throughout the day. I'm saying to myself, come on, you can do this, Sandra. Come on, you got this. Come on, girl. You can do it. You can do it. You're doing so well. Come on. And I do say this positive self-talk to myself, you know. I'm like, you're doing really well. Come on, girl. You're doing so well. Come on, just do a bit more. Do a bit more. Come on, you're doing really well. And you have to encourage yourself like this. It's very important. Self-encouragement, you know. Why should other people encourage you if you don't encourage yourself? You have to be your biggest cheerleader in life. You really have to believe in yourself when maybe a lot of other people don't. Maybe no one does sometimes, you know, but you have to believe in yourself 100%. I believe in myself categorically 100% that I will succeed eventually in everything in my life that I really want to succeed in. I've succeeded in writing books. You know, I had a publisher last year interested in my Asexual Perspectives book, a traditional publisher. They approached me on Twitter wanting to publish this book. They have been going in business for 35 years. So this isn't some vanity publisher that just popped up and said, I'll publish your book for you, you pay me. No, this is a proper publisher that's got a lot of books out and a lot of history out, right? But in the end, I said no. right? Which say no to other people's agendas, right? I said no. The reason I said no was quite a few of them was one, they wanted to take a lot of the stories out of the book, right? The whole point of this asexual perspectives book is to see and show there's difference across the asexual spectrum. So it's not me giving textbook definitions of what asexuality is. It's me showing what asexuality is like through the words of the different stories in the book. I wanted to pack as many stories in there as possible. There's not as many, well, not even half as many as the Asexual Guide to Sex book, because that's not what the Asexual Guide to Sex book purpose is. But the purpose of this is to show a lot of different people across the different parts of the spectrum, so you get an idea, a broad idea and feeling of how asexuality is and the different types of people within the spectrum, and you understand the overview of it. You know, that's why I did it specifically with that many people in from all the different backgrounds, from all over the world, because I wanted to show the spectrum and to celebrate our diversity across it. And there's something in that book for everyone. It's a very good introduction to asexuality that shows asexuality, not tells. Do you know what I mean? There's a big difference. And so that's what I specifically did with that book. Do you know what I mean? So you have to just trust yourself and trust the process, you know, that you've given yourself. And once you've achieved something, you know, I did that book, even though it took me a year to do, I did it. So once you give yourself a task and you give yourself something to do, you know, just follow through with it, even if it takes you a while, you know. Like you know, this is, and going back to what the publisher, I said no because I didn't want the stories taken out of it. In the end, they told me, and they told me as well all my reviews would be moved over to them, which I've worked very hard to get the reviews on there. I mean, a lot of them obviously are posted naturally, but obviously, you know, some of my friends will say, you know, can you post a review for me if you enjoyed the book? And they will, but people have gone out their way to do that. Those reviews I worked hard. And also another reason is every year I have Asexual Perspectives Awareness Month. So I read from this book every July. Usually every day I read something out of the book and start talking about it for the whole of July. You know, and they told me I couldn't quote out of my own book without their permission. And I've already quoted out of it. I've got loads of videos from previous couple of years doing that. I don't want to take all those videos off my channel or any other time I quoted from it. So that was another reason why I said no. And also they told me in the end that because I've successfully published that book, they feel that once they've talked to their marketing department that they couldn't do any better at sales basically than me, because they said that their budget, their forecast for sales, they didn't think would meet my expectations. So I'm better to keep it as it is. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I did. I kept it under my own imprint. And the guy from the publishing company, he saw it in an LGBT bookstore in London. That's how he came across it. So I've succeeded. You know, I've got an actual publishing house, 35 years old, that's telling me I've had a successful publishing time with myself. You know, do you know how that made me feel? It made me feel wonderful, because I said no. And I'm not saying I won't do future books with them. They're interested in future books. I'm not saying I won't do any future books with them. I personally like them under my own brand, really. I mean, I might say no to all of them, but I might say yes to one or two of them. I don't know yet. Because I like my work to be my own, and they would do editing. They probably change the way I do the books as well, you know, and I very much like to keep it to my own style. You know, that's why I feel more comfortable in. But the Asexual Guide to Sex book, they were thinking about having that, but they said it's too risky for them. They'd have to have lawyers all over it, even though there's no actual identifiable names in the whole of the book. You know, I've got business insurance. My business company, I've just renewed my business insurance recently, and they're covering me for my books. I made sure they covered me before, but I've got more, you know, total coverage now. But you know, then they said make sure that in your future books, there's no like full names without, you know, like a release. You know, and so in the current book, Asexual Guide to Sex, I'm right on, there is no full identifiable names in the book. You know, they're allowed to use their first name, initials, or alias name. You know, anyone who's identifiable is me. So you know, the only things that everything else is fact as they've written it, but it's just their name is different, which I'll be putting about in the book, which is fair enough to obviously cover up their identity. So you know, especially when they're telling personal stories. But they told me about the book. They told me there's definitely a market for it, and it definitely will sell. So that experience of having that publishing company approach me, even though, you know, you could argue, well, I've not got it published by them, it's a good thing, because they've given me feedback about my other book being successfully published, and the Asexual Guide to Sex One will sell, because they've spoke to their whole marketing team. These are people who've been in marketing for years, not some just new company that's turned up out of the blue. So do you see what I mean? So everything happens for a reason. It's all good. But years ago, people might have been very pessimistic about me writing books. I actually told well, it's in my redundancy book anyway. I actually told my parents years ago that I was going to be a businesswoman and a writer, and my dad was like, pigs might fly. He just didn't believe me. My mum didn't believe me either, but they need to believe me now, because it's happened. I am a writer. I do write books, and I do sell the Asexual Perspective one, sells every month, and it's a good book. And I've actually had another publishing company tell me that I'm successful at publishing, and that I can basically do better than they can, because their budget forecast for the sales probably wouldn't live up to my expectations. So there you go. So you've got to trust yourself, even if my parents actually, when I got my first book published, which isn't in print, actually, it's just an ebook, which is Break Through the Barriers of Redundancy, Get Back into Work, and A to Z How-To Guide. It took me 2.5 years. They did actually send me a card. They sent me a card, I think it was £10 in it, to spend on myself as a congratulations. So they did praise me in the end. But they didn't believe me. That took me 2.5 years to write that book. They didn't believe me that I would do it. Do you know what I mean? So you just have to tell people sometimes that this is the way it is. This is what I've chosen. This is my path. And regardless of whoever's saying you might not make it, it's not true, you won't do it, just don't listen to them. As long as you know and you believe in yourself, and the more you believe in yourself and do things for yourself, even when other people are telling you not to do it, the more it'll be healthier for you, and the more you'll trust yourself, and the more you'll self-love. Because self-love is all about being your own path in life, living your own life purpose, doing your own thing that makes you happy, regardless of what anyone else says, thinks, or does, which is my embrace your quirky philosophy. My embrace your quirky philosophy is literally embracing your quirky. So embracing all your quirkiness, all your difference, no matter what anyone else says, thinks, or does. You just live your truth. So live your truth, live your life, and live for you, and be good to yourself. Yeah. Anyway, I hope you found this video useful, helpful, and insightful in the 12 different ways that you can self-love more. So if you missed anything, do go back. I'm nearly dropping my books here. Do go back through this video and find out all the different 12 ways to self-love. I'm going to wish you a very, very good day now. And I've got my self-love. Don't forget to get your bit of sparkle. So this is gifts. Oh, I forgot to tell you before I go, one more final thing. Bonus tip. Buy yourself gifts. So I said go out on a self-date, but I didn't say this one, which is a bonus tip of where self-love more. Buy yourself gifts. It's very important. So just because you go on a self-date, you should always buy yourself gifts. So, for example, on February the 14th is International Celebrate Being Single Day, which I founded a few years ago. And International Celebrate Being Single Day is also on February the 14th, and it's all about celebrating your singleness and celebrating the fact you're single and everything that good that comes with it, and literally having it your special day so you can take yourself out for a self date and buy yourself gifts. I bought last year this. I went to the cinema. I bought this and some other love hearts together in a bundle for myself as a gift. And then at Christmas, after Christmas, I went to the January sale, bought 3 of these love hearts. So buy yourself gifts because you're worth it. Don't wait for some person to come in a relationship with you and buy yourself gifts. Don't wait for your family or friends to buy yourself gifts. Buy yourself gifts. It's very important. It's part of your self-love is buy yourself gifts. You want something, you think, oh, I really want that. It's beautiful. I like that in my life. It will cheer me up. It will make me happy. Buy yourself gifts. Buy yourself gifts. You know, you could buy yourself 1 gift a month, for example. However, even if it's a chocolate bar. But, or, you know, maybe you just stick to special occasions, but most of the time. But buy yourself gifts. Flowers, chocolate, sparkly things, you know, clothing, aftershave, ornaments, whatever you want to buy. Buy yourself gifts. Sweeties. Buy yourself gifts. It's very, very important. Anyway, I hope you found this video useful, helpful, and insightful. If you have, please, please, please give it a thumbs up. Thanks to everyone who's given me a thumbs up already. And if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, please hit the great big subscribe button below and hit that great big bell icon to get notified of every time I go live right now or post a new video. I hope you've appreciated all the 12 things. If you've missed any, go back and watch this video again, or give yourself a refresh and watch it again anyway. Share it with a friend or whoever may benefit, because I'm sure a lot of people can get a lot of use out of this video, because there's not enough self-love in the world. So please, please, please spread the self-love and spread this video. Put it on your Facebook page, put it on your Twitter account, put it wherever it is, and just share the love. And thank you so much to my best friend, Sam, for being in the live stream chat tonight. I really, really love you as my friend. As you know, you're an amazing, incredible person. I really care about you as my friend. Thank you so much for being here. And thanks so much, Richard, for being here. It's lovely to have you as part of my community. I know you're fairly new to my community, but it's lovely, lovely to have you here. I know you've got my book, so I hope you're enjoying the Asexual Perspectives book at the moment. So thank you so much for being here. And there is someone who called Neo who also popped by. So lots of love to Neo. I really appreciate you being here as well. And thanks to everyone else that's taken part in chat tonight. I really, really appreciate it. And I love you from the bottom of my heart. It's always a blessing to be with you and spend time with you. And thanks for giving up your precious time to spend time with me here right now, or on the replay. I really, really appreciate your time, because I know how valuable it is. And thank you for taking your own personal development, self-development, self-growth very, very seriously, and watching all this video. I really think it's amazing, and you've done a great job of doing that. And keep looking after you. Keep looking after you. Oh, thanks for the heart. Bye, Sam. Take care. Thank you. Bye. Bye, Richard. Bye, everyone.